How do you do? The Box Office Pulp Board feels it would be a little unkind to present this podcast without just a word of friendly warning. We're about to unfold a cinematic commentary track, made by a group of men who sought to create a podcast after their own ravings, without reckoning upon God. It is one of the strangest tales ever told. It deals with three great mysteries of the internet: analysis, observation, and deconstruction. I think it will thrill you. It may shock you. It might even horrify you. So if any of you feel you'd not care to subject your nerves to such a strain, now's your chance to, well, we've warned you. Now, to pause and refresh. For your convenience, we have an attractive refreshment stand in the lobby, with buttered popcorn, golden good and hot from the popper, your favorite candies, wholesome and rich, plus delicious Dr. Pepper, so bright and bracing with a tang and tingle unmatched by any other beverage. Enjoy an ice-cold Dr. Pepper at our beverage stand right now, and then return to fully appreciate this bop and a movie commentary track. Enjoy.
The killing curse. Only one person is known to have survived it. And he's sitting in this room.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Box Office Pulp, your one podcast stop for movies, madness, moxie, and tonight, move over Quidditch. It's Tri-Wizard Tournament time. The Bop Harry Potter commentary series marches on with this episode about the Goblet of Fire. I'm your host, Cody, and joining me today, all the way from Durmstrang Institute, is former Death Eater Mike. How are things going these days in the world of foreboding and probably evil academies?
That's my boy!
Is the Tri-Wizard Cup turning into like Rudy now or something?
See, I didn't care what joke you were going for my introduction. I was just going to immediately bring that up. Mission accomplished. Good night, everybody. And I just leave, and you guys just do the commentary solo.
You're my Cedric Diggory. Anyways, good to hear. We also have... Wait a minute. Jamie, did you put your name in the Goblet of Fire?
Oh, I'm sorry.
You should be. How dare you not cheat?
Do I have to go away now?
Unfortunately, yes. This podcast is just me. I've taken over. And as the new king of Box Office Pulp commentary series, it's all just going to be drink recommendations.
Why is it always king?
I'm all for this.
King? Oh, why wouldn't it be king? I'm not going to have people elect me out of office.
I would actually, at this point, because you always go with king, go with, say, dictator.
No, that sounds too rough.
Because let's face it, that's what you are here. You're a dictator of Box Office Pulp. You
It's
just
all about
accused
branding,
Jamie
Mike.
of putting his name in the Goblet of Fire.
I asked him very gently if he put his name in the Goblet
You
of Fire.
assaulted him.
Only verbally.
And then sent him back to his abusive adopted parents.
Back under the cupboard for you, tiny boy. They should punish Harry with that more often. Like every time Harry does something bad, they should just be like, "Sorry, little man, you have to go back to the cupboard now." I don't know who that was an impression of, but someone at the school talks that way.
Listen here, boys. It's me, Professor Magic.
That was Quirrell coming back.
He
Professor
teaches
Magic.
math.
I'd be concerned if one of them was named Professor Magic. He seems like he should be the magic sex ed teacher.
It's Gilderoy Lockhart.
Oh, boy.
To help me out, Professor Snape stands up dramatically from his throne, throws off his robes.
I will now teach you the position known as 69.
I have opened a Pandora's box, and I'm ashamed.
And this is a children's film we're commentating over.
They should know better. We have an explicit
It's the
tag on
first
this. Right?
PG-13 one, though. So see,
Damn
we
right.
did this all on purpose. This is scripted.
Yes, scripting. That's the thing we do. Anyways, we're going to mix things up today. Instead of jumping right into the commentary, as you can tell, we have not done that. We're going to open up with the official drink for Box Office Pulp's commentary of Goblet of Fire. We're going to go through that recipe, then we're going to do the commentary, instead of just randomly bringing this up halfway through the movie. This way, you can drink along with us. So, let's jump into it. This one's a two-parter. You got to do a little bit of prep. First part, we're going to be making a raspberry syrup. So you're going to need 12 ounces of frozen raspberries. You're going to need 3 sprigs of thyme. You're going to need a half cup of white sugar. Don't be an idiot like me and get powdered sugar because you want real white sugar. You don't want that granular shit. A half cup of water. That one should be easy for anybody. And then this one's optional, but if you want a good, nice coloring on the syrup, you're going to want to get some brown food dye. And we're going to make this raspberry syrup a really dark red. And you need that little bit of brown, like 2 drops of brown food coloring should do it. So with all of those ingredients gathered together, you're going to place all of them, besides the brown food coloring, into a saucepan. You're going to cook that over medium heat for just a few minutes. Stir it all together, make sure the sugar dissolves, get that mix boiling. Once it's boiling, continue stirring, pick up the pace, do it a little more frequently so nothing burns. And you're going to keep doing this until the raspberries start to soften and fall apart. Once you get to that point, you can remove the whole thing from heat, let it cool down completely, stir in the food coloring to get that color you want. That part's your preference. I mean, I don't think you're doing it right unless it's a nice, deep red, but that's just me personally. Once you've got that syrup cooled off, get a fine sieve and just filter it through that so you get all the pulp and seeds out of the way. You're going to end up with hopefully enough syrup for roughly 6 of these drinks. You can make more if you want. It stores. Just put it in a sealed jar, throw it in your fridge, and it'll last for like a week, no problem. Once you have that syrup ready, we can move into the second part. And this is where it gets fun because there's actual alcohol involved. So for the second part of this drink, you need 2 ounces Bacardi Superior Rum, an ounce and a half of that raspberry and thyme syrup we just made, 3/4 ounces lemon juice, 2 ice cubes. This part's fancy and optional, but if you can get your hands on some silver luster dust, it's an edible sparkly dust that you can dump into drinks, and it gives them a sparkly shine. If you feel like you're drinking unicorn blood, you just dump that in the mix.
Why wasn't that your drink for the first movie then?
I didn't know about this drink until I started looking around online. That's just bad prep on my part. Also optional, and this one's the real pizzazz, you get 2 teaspoons of a really high proof rum. If you can find Bacardi 151, I think that's been discontinued since like 2016. If you can find some of it, that stuff's fantastic. You're going to layer that on top of the drink and light it on fire. Box Office Pulp does not recommend you start fires, but if you do, it looks hella cool.
Wait, you can make a flamin' mo?
Pretty much, but magic. So, you take all the ingredients I just mentioned besides the Bacardi 151 or high proof rum, throw it into a cocktail mixer. You're going to shake that, maybe 20, 30 rotations, make sure the ice melts, chill the whole thing down, strain it into a coupe glass or, wine glass, whatever, something with a stem so your hand isn't warming up the drink. And that's it if you want just the basic drink. But if you want to make this fancy, you get yourself a cocktail spoon, put it over the surface of the drink, and then carefully layer the 151 over top. So you just have those 2 teaspoons floating on top of the rest of the drink. And then if you apply a flame to that, it'll go right up, and you'll get a nice burning effect. You'll have the nice swirling silvery booze underneath. It's pretty cool looking. Anyways, this one's, I should have started with a name, but it's the Burning Dragon's Blood. I found this recipe off of, hold up, let me get the actual site name so I can give credit where it's due. I stole this drink. I'm going to admit this fairly, but it was so cool I had to.
I have to say I'm really disappointed you didn't go for something more dramatic since you buried the lead on the name. And I call this drink Daniel Radcliffe's Delicious Asshole.
It is delicious. This came from theflavorbender.com. If you search for Flaming Dragon's Blood Cocktail, you'll find it there. I highly recommend it. It's a very tasty one. This one actually tastes good, unlike the other ones I've made. The other ones I prepared poorly. That's why they were bad. Not that the recipes were bad. This one is just hard to screw up. It's easy all around. A little bit of elbow work to make this one, but it's worth it.
Is this why you're leading with this drink instead of burying it in a lull in the commentary?
I would need a very long lull is the problem. So yeah, I had to start. As for the thematics of this drink, I mean, one, it's in the name. It's Flaming Dragon's Blood. Harry Potter films have always had their fascination with dragons, so it makes sense to go that way. Plus, it's sparkly, so it does really remind me of the unicorn blood. So a little late on that reference, but better late than never. And also, in this particular film, there's a lot of pomp and circumstance with the whole 3 prestigious magic schools duking it out for bragging rights. So it made sense in my mind to have a really overly showy drink, one that you can light on fire, one that you have to have sparkly powder in, one that you have to do extra prep work for. You can get drunk on rum, but this one's rum plus hard work and fancy shit.
I think you just described the formula for a happy life.
Just get drunk on rum. It works for Johnny Depp. It works. I should differentiate him from his characters. It works great for Captain Jack Sparrow.
It worked great for Johnny Depp until it stopped working great for Johnny Depp.
Please don't sue us.
So, folks at home, make that, drink it, get in your car.
I like how we started with just telling people they should make fires, and now we're telling them to drunk drive. We're not going to jail for any reason.
If you could make it while you're driving, that would actually be better. And listening to us.
Oh, the decadence of that.
And the last point, I swear, before we actually get into the meat and potatoes of this episode, unless you're just here for the drinking, this is also the last episode, really, of the Harry Potter series before they have to confront the fact that Voldemort's back full time, baby. So, why not have one last childhood sweet drink before you get into all the dark stuff I'm going to be doing later on, Dark and Stormies and all of that. Just one more fruity, sweet, sugary, fancy drink.
Like the kind of alcohol you enjoyed as a child watching Sorcerer's Stone.
Just, all that rum you had as a child.
You did not think this introduction through, did you, Cody?
I'm going to be honest. I had a lot of rum when putting this introduction together. So anyways, that is your Burning Dragon's Blood. Now that I'm assuming time has passed and you have one in your hand and you feel very fancy, let's get down to it.
We did say what we were doing, right?
I didn't do the whole commentary breakdown because you made fun of me last time for taking the time to explain a commentary.
We did. Did we say which movie we were doing?
Goblet of Fire. I mentioned that like 3 different times in the intro. So
just making sure.
Okay.
So everyone get ready. We're about to start Goblet of Fire. Cue up the movie. Mike, do our countdown, and let's go.
I'm going to count to 3. After I say 3, press play along with us, if that's the kind of thing you're into. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, God, we're in a Batman movie.
Time for a slightly more fucked up WB logo.
By the, I think Deathly Hallows Part 2, it's just, they just play a Serbian film in the logo, and you're forced to watch it.
This one does open up into a pile of skulls, so that's kind of metal. I kind of forgotten that the opening for this works pretty much like a tiny horror movie.
Oh, yeah.
We enter in with skulls, a giant snake comes out, there's a cemetery, the caretaker sees a spooky light, goes to investigate, and then is murdered by evil magic. This could be a fun little horror movie by itself.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, where is that as a horror movie? Just evil wizards killing people like Michael Myers.
I mean, if you took this 10 minutes and stretched it into like an hour and a half long new Hammer movie, I'd be there.
That's funny. Goblet of Fire probably, everyone goes to Azkaban for this, but Goblet of Fire kind of works best as an October film.
I could see that. Needs more pumpkins. Part 3 had pumpkins.
That is true. Giant pumpkins. Giant fake-ass pumpkins.
Some type of gourd. We don't know if they're supposed to be pumpkins, I guess.
I have to say, it was hilarious going back and reading the book for the first time after seeing the movie and seeing this caretaker get just pages and pages dedicated to his humanity.
Doesn't he have like a Wikipedia
blown
page?
Away.
Yes.
I mean, in the book, he has like a name and I'm sure a family and kids and something.
I believe he has a relationship with the Riddle family. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, it's tragic.
He actually coddled baby snake Voldemort at some point.
Another first appearance here. We've got a non-John Williams composer taking over duties. This is Patrick Doyle's work, which you get that little flourish on the logo, and it's a little quieter now. But he gives us a score, I think, that's in vein with the rest of the Potter films. It doesn't really stand out that much, but it still has its own kind of unique stamps. And he was lucky enough to get these little horror moments to kind of differentiate himself, because we don't have as many of those in the John Williams era. There's a couple, but he gets to do something a little different with them.
This is definitely the most Elfman-like the score seems to get in this series.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Doyle is so good, but out of any Doyle score, this is probably the weakest. Saying that, it's very good. But it doesn't really. It never feels like it has a true identity, because I think he may have just been afraid to. He wasn't sure how far to push his own way of doing things out there.
Right. I mean, the score was pretty well established, and you're following up John Williams, pretty much one of the all-timers.
Yeah.
So it's not an easy position to jump into in any way.
Specifically, you're following Williams after Prisoner of Azkaban, which just had its own iconic score completely in and of itself. Well, hello there.
Also, we missed it, but hey, David Tennant.
I love David Tennant just looking like he's in an 80s English punk band.
David Tennant talking to a little baby, technically.
A withered snake man baby.
I would have seen an entire movie that's just the adventures of baby Voldemort and his best friend Nagini.
Is this a little bit like Baby Muppets? Oh, for sure. That's why they're besties.
To the cookies, Nagini!
Fun change here. We get to completely skip the Dursleys this time. And we're still keeping with the tradition of, hey, let's see Harry explore his life before Hogwarts. But this time it's just right in the Dursleys, and we get the whole Quidditch World Cup. So we get a little deeper into the wizard world. We don't have to put up with the Dursleys. Kind of a shame, because a lot of people always got a kick out of the Dursley bits. But I do like the change of pace.
It was time to move on from the structure. I think it would have been such a besides just how stuffed this film is with everything happening in the world. Opening that way would have kind of been a drag, I think, at this point.
Especially since nothing really happens in those scenes anyway. It ended up being such a great happy accident, because like the Dursleys weren't kept out for any stylistic reason. They just wanted more money this time. But I love how accidentally that gives you such a cool arc, where at this point it feels like Harry is so immersed in the wizarding world that this is just his real home.
Yeah.
You don't need to branch. You don't need to ease the audience into it anymore and have the parallels between the two worlds. You can just begin from here.
And he's going to have bigger problems than the Dursleys. Yeah. One thing we just brushed past here, I wanted to point out some of the shots of like the port key and walking up the hill, which I think are a good transition point between what we would get in Azkaban and what we'll get with the rest of the Harry Potter films in terms of look, because we're switching directors back and forth. This features the return of Roger Pratt, who is the cinematographer for Chamber of Secrets as well, and we get a very different look than Chamber, but he does get to bring some of his flair to this one.
The thing that I always notice first is just how open Goblet of Fire is compared to the other films. This is the least claustrophobic of them by a long shot.
Yeah.
And the CGI was a little better at this point, too, so I think they could expand their vistas and not worry about them looking bad. The CGI in this movie is not perfect. It's still kind of development CGI. Most of it works pretty well, but there's moments, I think specifically when you're looking at the World Cup in general, that it's like, this is not perfect.
I'm obsessed with this almost insultingly British actor playing Cedric's dad. This dude who looks like he walked out of a Douglas Adams novel.
Oh my god, that's the best description I think I could ever come up with for that dude.
Doesn't he look like he's about to get into a poker game with Ford Prefect or something?
Okay, two comments I have. One's serious, one's not. I'll start with the not serious one. Okay, Harry, how long have you been doing this? Are you still surprised by magic shit? Like this is year one. God damn.
I love magic.
Cut your goddamn hair.
He's drunk. He's had too much magic rum.
2, going back to the look of the film, Goblet is, as much as I love the look of Azkaban, and Azkaban is fantastic looking. This is by and large my favorite film design wise. To me, it strikes the perfect combination of the latter day Potter films that none quite captured, of bright, colorful, kind of still childlike, but having just that slight reality dreariness. And
It made a lot.
No, go on.
Oh, go ahead. I was gonna say it made a lot of sense whenever I read that Newell intentionally patterned the look of this movie after a Bollywood film.
Oh, really?
As once you hear that, it's like, oh, I totally see it.
So, more than design, what do you guys think about the Quidditch Cup here? One, the fireworks CGI does not sit well with me, but
At least it's
design-wise,
not supposed to look real.
right? Yeah, I don't know. Something about the design of this. It's supposed to give the impression of basically a giant magicked up soccer match,
Yeah.
which makes sense. But something about it seems to lose a little bit of the grandeur, and I don't know how they would have increased it. But there's something about this that seems lacking. Maybe it's because we don't see any of the actual match, which I understand why they cut that out. I mean, it's just going to eat up a bunch of time. But fans of the series will always bring this up as a critique about Goblet of Fire. In terms of translation from page to film, this is one of the bigger disappointments, I think, for hardcore Harry Potter fans. They really wanted to see hardcore Quidditch action.
I think there's a subreddit for that.
Oh, it's saucy.
I kind of feel the opposite. This is really one of the few times a Quidditch match has really worked for me visually.
It works in the sense that the films have been winding down Quidditch since the second movie. And after this, Quidditch is... I guess we have the stuff where Ron is trying to get part of the Quidditch team, but the focus isn't so much on the action. It's just Ron's character development. So Quidditch really is being phased out slowly over the series.
Yeah,
It'd be kind of weird if they capped it with a gigantic 20-minute long Quidditch battle for characters we don't care about. But...
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing. Like, I mean, you kind of can't get over the fact it's a little bit awkward cut-wise if you consider the Quidditch World Cup. Anyway, back to the tent.
Yes, it's over now.
Back to Nazis.
The fun.
You can't fix that. You need it because it introduces characters, it puts everyone in a certain place, and you can go into this. But this is the more important stuff. Like, as great it would have been to actually see like the Quidditch World Cup just as an event in the world, but just take the awkward cut. It's nice that we have a Potter film that's actually okay with just doing time jumps of that stuff.
Also, God, of all these scenes in the series I ever expected to hit close to home, this was not one of them.
Do you think in Europe it's very common after this movie came out to just yell, "It's not the Irish"? Sorry, I had that joke paged up and went right by and I couldn't use it. So we're getting it now. I had so many notes we had to jump by here. Like, it is very strange that Draco in this film is kind of reduced to just being daddy issues.
This is where he became Bay.
He is a handsome man. I think Ginny has like 2 lines in this whole movie and we've already passed them, which is so strange considering Ginny's major importance later in the series. Ginny always just felt like a character that was kind of shafted in terms of screen time.
Ginny, Dobby, David Tennant.
Well, that's true. If we got more David Tennant, I would not complain.
Can I just say how weirdly iconic this scene is for me randomly? Just David Tennant walking around rubble, shooting random things. When I think of the Harry Potter series, this is always one of the first things that pops into my head for some reason.
It's the amount of attention he puts into that spell. He really says the hell out of that line.
Let's talk about like just the brilliance of the structure, I think, of this opening. Because you get all the normal Harry Potter trappings and whatnot. And sure, you cut away from Quidditch, but you get the whimsicalness of everything. You're immediately introduced to the characters, which I think also is what helps not going to the Dursleys. The three kids are immediately together. You're immediately
Yep.
like, you feel like you're neck deep in the Potter plot already. Even though nothing's really
And you
happening.
get Cedric right away, too.
Yeah.
The way the movie moves about, you need every bit of Cedric you can get. So I'm glad, they introduce him right away, even if he doesn't say much to the other characters.
Yeah, it would have been such a mistake to save him for later. And then you just have it so immediately invaded by the Death Eaters. And Newell going into those Deutsch angles, and the only thing I can compare it to, it suddenly becomes the third act of Mother.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like there's a lot of visual
for
similarities, weirdly.
Just exploring.
Well, think about it. I mean, at the end of this film, we're halfway through the series officially, but this feels the turning point. The first three are very much, here's the world, here's your classes. It's all introduction to what it means for Harry moving into the world of wizards. And 4 through 8 really feel like they're all of a kin of, great, we've got the establishment done. Here's the real plot. Voldemort is back, and the world is descending into totalitarianism.
And you kind of open this movie with the tone of a world bubbling on the verge of war. And I think that's so that great like attack, the tone of that attack, I think gets that across. I would say Newell's probably pulling from, a lot of real world stuff there to go into this happy, fun party time, all of a sudden being devastated by reality, for lack of a better term. I know they're like magicians throwing fucking fireballs and shit, but it's off-putting. It puts you off kilter for immediately for the entire duration of the film, leading up to that rather dark ending.
Yeah, and just to back up to that trolley scene, in something like 10 seconds, we get very clear examples of this world being a little bit more sophisticated now. Harry Potter offers to buy the snacks for Ron, which he's done multiple times in the past. We've seen him do that kind of stuff, buying out the cart. And this time Ron shoots him down because he's kind of ashamed that his rich friend is buying him food. That's an evolution of character that shows these guys are in a different place now. It's not as simple as, yay, candy. And right after that, Cho is there, and Harry is showing that sign of a crush. It's no longer just, we're all friends. Now it's, some people are friends, some people are enemies, some people are romantic interests. There's a lot more going on with just the basic characters, and then that darker plot bubbling in the background.
This entire first act is a masterpiece of exposition. This script gets across so many big things in such tiny, tiny strokes. Like, going back to the scene of them in the tent, that scene tells you everything you're going to need to know about Victor Crumb for the rest of the movie. Ron likes Crumb. Crumb is stupid. Crumb plays Quidditch. Like, when you look at the pages and pages that are spent explaining what all these characters are about in the book, and you look at the subtle things they do to establish stuff in this movie, like, it's a miracle to me.
Well, it moves it through so fast. By the time Harry is at school, we already are aware of the whole plot. The mystery aspect's been kind of downsized. We know right away Voldemort is making plans to come back, and he's more physical than he's ever been. We know the Death Eaters are active. It's not like the other films where the threat slowly evolves throughout and there's a mystery they have to solve. This one's basically, hey, the floor has been set. Let's deal with this. And then it adds the wrinkle of the Triwizard Tournament on top to distract you from those elements.
Okay, are we letting the run go by without commenting on it?
No.
Not so crazy now.
See, he looks less crazy now due to the straw ban. It makes perfect sense that he carries a crazy straw around because no one's going to give him a straw. He's killing all the ocean life.
Personally.
He throws away each crazy straw after he uses it once.
Now that's crazy.
Don't pollute. And that's where we cut the series off. It was all to make that point.
I like how we just became the end of a 90s sitcom there.
Learn magic, don't pollute.
Felt like we needed to go into a b-boy stance. Okay, now I have to admit, I love this world. I love everything in it.
But
why do they gotta do dance routines to come in? Just walk into the goddamn hall.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because there's like the shot right here, the close-up of the ass.
I will always appreciate that this is the Harry Potter movie with a butt shot.
It's so weird. It feels so out of place with everything else Harry Potter has ever done. Harry Potter is not that sexual of a series other than the time, like, Ron saw evil magic versions of himself making out with Hermione.
I'm sorry, a sexually charged movie when you think about it.
It makes sense. I mean, they're all, I always get the years mixed up. They're 15 in this one?
Yes.
Or 15? Okay, it's one off. So, yeah, it's a time for that. You know, it's starting to think about sex. Makes sense. Still weird to have an ass shot of these weird French women just barging into the place.
Who are all underage.
Yeah, it's fucking weird. Speaking of weird, the CGI here is probably the low mark in the series in my mind. The blur effect on the wands to try and make them look like they're going a little faster.
This is also pointless.
I like the sparks on the ground. That looks good. But the wand twirling and then the gymnastics afterwards and the breakdance moment. They would have been perfectly fine if they just walked in and did the sparky thing and then Crumb was just like, hello, I'm here. Everyone respect me.
They have to show off that they are fake movie Russian.
I'm just so confused. It doesn't even fit the introduction of these schools doesn't even fit the tone of the film, let alone of like anything else. Like, it's just so out of place.
Yeah, the other school's introduction is it doesn't work, which is a shame because I think a lot of things in this film are done very well, but that particular scene, little rough.
And I get
and then
you
the
want to
we
make
cut
it
to Moody and back here works really well. It's just for some reason there's like a minute-long snafu.
Yeah, and I get you want to make them like entering more interesting than them just walking in dramatically, but the weird like music video routine that suddenly erupts is so strange.
It really is.
I like to think that Durmstrang came up with theirs in the hallway when they saw the girls dancing. Shit, we have to do something.
Oh no,
Let's stop.
no.
Boom, boom, boom.
It's very weird that they didn't even bother to tell Hogwarts, like, hey, we got wizards coming. You should tidy up, do something.
You got wizards coming.
Tell your ghosts to leave.
Anything, like fucking make some sparkles. We have wizards coming. We gotta clean up the rooms.
No, not the ceiling.
That'll teach it. They took the enchantment of the ceiling to a weird spot in this one, because otherwise it's for looks. This time it actually became alive.
I guess for this scene, I don't know. It was weird.
That was a little strange. It does give Moody a great entrance, though.
Oh yeah.
So do you think that this is how Frank Miller enters rooms now?
Everyone just give him the side eye.
On half mad.
I also love the Terminator noise effect they've applied to Moody's
robot
eyeball.
sound effects.
It blew my mind to find out that that's just a mechanical eye he's wearing over his head. That's not CG. I always assumed that was a computer effect.
Oh, yeah. I probably read that at some point and forgot because it just seems like it should be a computer effect.
It looks fake. I don't understand how it's real.
Well, I'm sure we'll talk about Brendan Gleeson more as this goes on, but god damn, what a wonderful get for Moody. Like, I can't read the books and picture anyone else doing that role.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing to think he was almost Billy Connolly. That would have been hilarious.
So that would have been weird.
It's fucking wizards!
And one other thing we passed by before, but I wanted to sneak it in now. The Weasley twins really come of their own at this point. Like, they feel like they have such a large presence in this one. They don't actually do all that much. They have a couple of moments, but they feel more important than they have in the past. And they feel like they gain importance later on, which is very important considering what happens, towards the end of the series with those two. They've evolved a little bit beyond just comic relief to being characters slowly throughout this deal.
this is really the first time you get to see them do Weasley twins shenanigans. It's just inferred in the other movies.
Right. God damn it, this is a silly tournament.
I think it's like Battle Royale. I think it's just to weed out wizards.
We got to get rid of them one at a time, all these suck-ups and sycophants.
Dumbledore was this close to getting rid of Harry once and for all.
So, for some reason, I guess I'm slow. It never occurred to me that Durmstrang suspiciously sneaking in here was supposed to be implied that he fucked with the deal. For some reason, I never made it 2 and 2 out of this until recently.
Fucking Igor Karkaroff, the greatest character.
It's never really
ever.
brought back around that he's one of the bad dudes because they're so busy talking about Moody. It's not, you don't realize like, oh, that guy was also evil still.
Yeah, it's odd. Karkaroff being a red herring is such a huge part of the book, but it's just kind of there in this version.
Yeah. I guess that's part of the problem when you have 900 pages of book to adapt in 2 hours.
I think they just made it look so obvious that it never really worked as a red herring.
Right? It's basically turning it into from subtext to text, which just makes me go, no, I ignore this and I'm going to throw this page into the fire.
Like if we didn't see him walk in there, it's like then the dramatic reveal is, oh yeah, I bewitched him. Like, cool, but we knew that he did it the entire time. So it's like it's either that or he went in there apropos of the plot and like came in the Goblet of Fire. Because that's how he gets
That's why
off.
he's so suspicious. Flames.
Look, the important thing is we got sneaky Karkaroff, and that's all that matters.
That's right. If only we'd listened to the warning about Russians before, we could have avoided a whole election. Anyways, off of topical events, boy, this scene has one point, and I love how strongly it communicates it. And you kind of experience it with the characters, where he takes this bug out, he's showing the Cretaceous curse, throwing it around, and you're kind of laughing with him, like, hey, it's funny, Ron's scared of bugs, and he's got a bug near him, and now Malfoy's got it near him. Ah! And then he lays that line on, what if I made it jump out the window? And you have that same realization of this character's like, oh, yeah, this isn't really funny, this is torture, this is bad, we shouldn't torture. It's surprisingly effective for a kid's movie.
Yeah.
Oh,
And it's establishing so much for later. Also, I found out today that this bug actually exists, and I can't sleep.
God,
Yeah.
no, please tell me it exists in a different country than America.
Let's not go.
If it's not in the U.S., I'm okay.
This is a spider scorpion.
Oh, Jesus, it even has a
Those
horrible
exist.
name. A spider. It sounds like the person who found these things wanted to warn the world.
Well, it's called that because it's not a spider or a scorpion. They don't seem to know what the hell it is, so it's just
Horrifying.
a spider scorpion.
It's just horrifying. God damn it. Gleason. Motherfucking Gleason. Just to reflect on the man's career, everything he's in, he elevates. Paddington 2, which would be delightful without him, is made even more delightful as him playing a prison heavy who just has a soft spot for marmalade. Oh boy. Everything he's in. In Bruges, just another amazing role. This guy is just a champion actor, and every time I see he's in something, I get excited.
His is excellence.
Even if it's something like he appeared in like an episode of Doctor Who, I think is a dog man or a cat man, I can't remember. And even that
he was a cat man.
And even that was delightful. In that weird episode where I guess people just lived in cars.
I love that Catman trucker who does not approve of same-sex marriage. Random fucking character ever.
So I feel like the attention to Neville and his family situation isn't quite applied as much as it could have been. In the books, they make the big deal out of, Neville's parents were tortured to insanity by the Cruciatus curse. And this one, they just play it like he's super uncomfortable. And so Moody realizes he fucks up and has tea with them, and then they reveal a conspiracy later on about that. They might have some lip service applied to the whole deal, but it feels like it comes very late.
Yeah, at the very end during the trial, it's mentioned that Crouch used the curse on Neville's parents, but they're just referred to as the Longbottoms, and no attention is really paid to it.
Yeah. That's a big point. I can understand why they need to cut it. This is, again, based on a gigantic book, so you got to make these things roll. But going off the idea that it could have easily been Neville Longbottom that was the hero of this franchise, in mythology, I mean, he was a runner-up, and they just went after Harry instead. It would be nice if the movies could pay the same amount of attention to Neville. Well, obviously not the same level as Harry gets, but just a little more, flesh him out a little bit more and drive that parallel.
It's fucked up to think that if they didn't have Neville essentially replace Dobby in parts of this movie, Neville just kind of wouldn't have been in these until his big hero moment in Deathly Hallows. Like, he would have just gotten lost throughout the middle pictures. And that would have been
He
really
randomly pops up and says, "Gillyweed." Yeah, there's unfortunately just part of the trouble of translating from book to page. A lot of side characters and plots just have to be jettisoned or streamlined. It's a shame, but would it make sense to have a character like Peeves?
Make the case for Peeves.
Peeves is fun. I don't know if we need him. He doesn't impact things enough where I think it would have made sense to commit him to several movies.
I am fascinated that the studio wanted this to be 2 films. And the only reason it wasn't is because there's no way to split this into 2 films from a structure standpoint. Like, what would that have been like if they tried?
Small question about mythology here. I think the answer is no, because we see other members of the school around. Do they just live at Hogwarts for the whole year and take Hogwarts classes? Or if you don't win the goblet raffle, do you have the option of going home?
I think the schools are integrated for the year as far as what's in the book.
I think that's what they show throughout the movie. It just seems a weird concept to me that they take like all of their highest GPA students and be like, what if you just spent a year learning a completely different school system?
that has always been a bit odd to me.
How do those credits transfer? If this were Wizard College, man, that'd be such a pain. In my mind, this would be a great scene to cut out of the movie, but I'm very glad they didn't because it's so entertaining.
Yeah.
For non-essential plot information.
Harry Potter.
Right, yeah, it's fun. I guess it does go away to show that you can't cheat in this easily. So it would have been very difficult for Harry Potter, who is a younger student, to get around this. Oh, fun fact. So when they were going to film this scene, the director asked the twins, like, hey, have you guys ever done a fight scene? And they said, no. And he decided, okay, well, I'm going to show you guys how to do a fight scene. So he asked one of the twins to fight him, and they were throwing each other on the ground, rolling around. And the director apparently cracked a rib during the scene while practicing rolling around fighting a teenager.
So might I say, God, it must be such hell to be Hermione in these movies.
What, to have a crush on Crumb?
I just mean the Hermione thing of having to sit alone with the book while the other characters are doing tomfoolery.
Ah, gotcha.
It's hard to be that British.
All the time. I do like the fact that they give Hermione a crush in that dude because, oh man, as an adult looking at that dude, he's not impressive. Like, sure, he's the king of Quidditch, apparently. We never see him perform, but otherwise, he doesn't say a whole lot. He's got a goatee. It looks weird.
He's like 30.
Yeah, it's not impressive to me. But then I look back at all the people I had crushes on in high school, and I realized I was a very dumb person. So it makes sense. Yay, hooray, Crumb.
The champion is Russian Guyovich.
Oh, time to fly high in sky.
Crumb is so awkward there, shaking Dumbledore's hand.
Crumb is very awkward in a lot of the bits he does.
What is this hand extension?
I was thinking this while rewatching Goblet. So, out of the three kids, Hermione is the only one who ends the series not a virgin.
We don't know what happens in the woods.
Well, I guess
you
Harry
think-
could have fucked his own Patronus at some point, but
Patron, oh yes.
Are you implying there's a scene in this movie where Crumb whips out his stick and it's like boom, 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 boom?
Why is it
In
shooting
bed.
sparks at me?
doing gymnastics and shit.
Look, there's so many Harry Potter sexual innuendos. I don't think we have to go into them besides in Gorgio.
Oh, yeah.
So I love using editing to make Alan Rickman more of a factor in this movie.
He's basically not here, which is a
Yeah.
shame.
That's a hilarious side effect of how Snape doesn't have a ton to do in the series, is he's always the one who notices things. So we can't give him any lines. We can just have him look at things pensively and think about that child's eyes.
It's all about
Alright.
the children.
Boy, okay, so here we get another thing Book Pierce will be up in arms about: Dumbledore's rage, which I understand looks very silly. Given the circumstantial evidence going on here, like as the Triwizard Tournament, all of a sudden there's a fourth one, the Goblet shouldn't even be able to do that.
Yeah.
They should know that students, especially Harry Potter, aren't capable enough to make that happen. Like, there's clearly something fucky happening here, and Dumbledore should be smart enough to figure that out. But instead, he just goes into rage mode. I can see why people would be mad. Also, it's very weird to me, and this isn't a continuity issue with books to movies, but all the students turn on Harry Potter very quickly after just cheering on the Weasley twins to enter this tournament illegally.
Oh, it's very strange how everyone else turns on him. When I rewatched it, first time I watched it, I was very put off by Dumbledore's immediate rage at Harry. Upon rewatches have lessened that some. I feel like the performance is more rage in general, not necessarily targeted at Harry. And the questioning is more of just trying to. He knows it was bewitched, but he kind of wants Harry to say that he put his name in the Goblet of Fire.
Mhm.
Because he knows something's up, if not. Everybody else turning on Harry never really works, and I'm kind of glad it's out of the way fairly quickly. Ron's storyline for me never clicks.
Yeah. Some of the dynamics don't quite work. And that goes back to the source material. So you can't blame the filmmakers necessarily. You would hope maybe they could adjust some of this in the adaptation, but they don't always have the choice, and they can't deviate that much. The Harry Potter series has established itself as being 80% faithful to the books. If they fuck around with that level too much, fans are really going to lose their shit.
And the subplot of Ron being jealous of Harry throughout the later books is something that doesn't really work in a film, because in the books it's there to be a meta thing. Like the reason Ron is jealous of Harry is because Harry has a book series. Basically, like he sees
It's all Harry Potter and the so-and-so.
He sees the hero's journey that Harry is clearly on, and is resentful of the fact, because that means that nothing good is ever going to happen to him because he's not the star of the book series.
Right.
It's really hard to get that across in a live action movie,
They
just
make
through
efforts for it.
dialogue.
I think going back to the trolley scene again, just showing that small exchange there, they lay some of the groundwork. They have to rush into it really fast here, which is unfortunate. I don't know if it would have made sense in any way to split Goblet of Fire into two films, but there was definitely enough book material where they could have. Or just do some weird Lawrence of Arabia thing where there's an act break and then like another 2 hours of movie. I don't know, a lot of those little bits that would help flesh out some of those conflict gets it tossed. They simply don't have the time for everyone to get their full due. They simply can't cram it all in. They got to move things forward. They still have to entertain people, so there's got to be the big spectacle. That's what people expect from Potter. It's a shame, but that's one of the troubles with adaptation.
What's funny is at this point, they really could have just made these all 3 hours if they wanted to.
Yeah, no one would have complained. It might have hurt their overall because they can only fit so many screenings into a single day then. But hey, it worked for The Lord of the Rings.
I feel like theaters would have been more than happy to just move other shit out to.
Oh, right, yeah. It would have been like 10 screens of Harry Potter and 2 screens of like Narnia or something.
Oh, we can't have another screen for Must Love Dogs?
I was very confused. I looked this up. Apparently, Narnia beat Harry Potter at the box office domestically that year. Harry Potter won out worldwide, but not domestically.
That's so odd. And that was the first Narnia? So I feel like I remember that underperforming terribly.
Right. I always thought the Narnia movies just didn't make money. Let's see. The film ranks third in the North American box office behind Star Wars Episode 3 and The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe for 2005 with US $290 million.
Wow. So Goat McAvoy.
Both films rank lower than Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire in worldwide terms.
It ranked beneath them in World War money.
World War money. That's how they do it. They fight over cash.
And in our hearts.
And in our hearts.
Oh, this fucking chick.
Another bit of stuff that kind of gets scrapped. I was watching a YouTube video, and I wish I could remember the name because I feel like I need to give the credit. I can actually remember the specific video, so it's going to be skeezy if I'm like, oh, this is my idea. Damn it. It was from Just Right. I know that much. There was a video talking about Harry Potter, how J.K. Rowling writes her mysteries. And in the book, you can get away with writing mysteries because you can describe a character by a trait, and then you don't have to call him by name. And it came to me the idea that the Harry Potter movies have to jettison a lot of the mystery aspect of the books. If you look at the books, they're essentially mysteries dressed up as fantasy films. They do with all the fantasy tropes, but they use mystery mechanics to push them along. Especially with Goblet of Fire, we have the main mysteries. How did Harry's name end up in the goblet? Why was Harry's name put into the goblet? How is Harry going to accomplish each challenge? How is he going to find out how to breathe underwater? How is he going to open the egg? How is he going to beat the dragon? Blah, 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 blah. And one of the minor mysteries from the book that doesn't make it to screen is how is Rita Skeeter getting all of her sources on Harry Potter and publishing her gossip? And it's a whole chunk that gets dropped from the movie. She does her stories, but it's almost comic relief bits. Doesn't mean the movie is worse, but it does show the difference between source material and how you get something on the screen in under 3 hours.
I would have loved if they had spent significant chunks of screen time on Rita Skeeter.
I mean, it's very weird. She just falls out of the plot at a certain point.
Yeah.
It would have been nice for a little bit more conclusion there, but there's not enough of the character to warrant the time to spend showing her turning into a bug and hiding on people and stealing information like a literal fly on the wall.
Yeah, I guess she really was just left in there for the sake of breaking up the tone.
Yeah. Well, and the movies too. I understand their major strength isn't all the little mysteries necessarily. It's spectacle. The Harry Potter films actually have to show you what's happening on page. So they have giant CGI effects and big action beats, handsome Hollywood actors. Well, I guess not Hollywood, all British actors. Scenes like this where it's like, hey, let's just have a slow pan around Hogwarts. It's beautiful. Whereas the books, you can focus on different things because you can paint that picture very quickly.
Also, unrelated, but this shot really reminds me. I don't know how you guys feel, but for me, this is the best Harry looks in any of the films. This is the one movie where he really has the long, like, crazy hair that Harry's supposed to have.
Yeah.
For some reason, that just makes him look especially action hero-y to me.
That's what Rowling's always said.
It works for Harry. I think it looks a little silly on Ron.
Oh, Ron looks like a fucking monster.
In general. That's when the swine flu was ravaging him.
Teenage years were not kind to him.
Hey, I give it up to anyone who is able to maintain being a sex symbol through puberty. Also, can I just say, how the fuck does anyone actually read a Wizard newspaper?
Boy, it's tough. I don't know either. It's probably. I imagine print is dying in the Wizard world too. Oh god, imagine a Wizard Nook. It's got to be the worst. The words are just flying into other books and stuff.
Oh.
It's just one of those stone tablets from Breath of the Wild.
Okay.
How did Harry miss the fire, you dummy?
He sucks. This is a movie that features Gary Oldman as Calcifer.
I
Right?
know.
All right, I've given the movie some shit for its effects, but this, I think, is legitimately a wonderful bit of design.
This is maybe my favorite effect in the entire franchise. I'm so sad they don't reuse it.
Right? It's so easy in the books to say, oh, a face appeared in the flames, but to actually be like, here are the embers and the dark bits show off his highlights and nose and all this stuff. It's a wonderful, wonderful piece of design.
And it's not just a face, it's recognizably Gary Oldman.
Exactly. Yeah, he's got the mustache in the fire.
I just want... Can somebody edit this into Bram Stoker's Dracula?
Also, for some reason, as a fireplace, Gary Oldman has to hiss all of his lines. Weird bit of choice there by the actor.
You know Oldman was like, I get to be a fire.
Exactly. Yes, this is why I signed up for this series. Keep your friends close, Harry.
Damn it, Oldman, you're not a villain anymore.
For this moment, the fire is the villain.
Can I be Voldemort as well?
I guess he just hisses like a snake when he has secrets to tell.
Look, Sirius Black was alone in that cell for a long time.
I love this bit. Keep your friends close, Harry. Harry immediately distances his friends. He's like, God damn it, man. You weren't listening to a word that fireplace said.
It is weird. Like, there's no reason to gaslight Ron here.
The Harry Potter series has such a bad tradition of lying to Ron for no reason. As though he's not a wizard. Like, Harry and Hermione treat Ron like he's the girlfriend in a CW superhero show. I don't know. Ron can't find out about my secret identity as the boy who lived.
My enemy, Dr. Alchemy, will get to him.
Harry Potter doesn't have his friend Ron Weasley anymore. Time for Neville.
Just immediately hangs out with Neville. Like, what a... God damn it,
Time
Harry.
for that backup boy. What's his name? Long Buddy.
Why do I feel like this played out like that episode of The Simpsons where Bart had to hang out with Ralph?
He chooses you.
I'm fascinated that they made Ginny come along.
For protection.
But not to say anything, just to remind people like she's on the payroll.
Also, how many layers is Ron wearing?
They're all wearing way too many layers. Hermione's got on a sweater, a scarf, a jacket. It's probably 9 degrees out here. I'm sweating looking at him like, God damn it, guys, you don't need that many jackets. I live in a cold place. I know how it works.
I know you're British, but... The amount of time Hermione has to tell people she's not an owl.
Every movie, it gets tiring after a while. That's her only bit of dialogue in Chamber of Secrets.
Also, I'm so obsessed with the fact that Moody and Neville hung out at certain points during this year
They had
and talked botany.
Tea time for buddies.
What was that like? And it was Tenet.
I know, it's the fucked up thing. Like, that's the That's the person who tortured his family. It's like apt pupil is going on the entire year and nobody knows. Just think, I want to see a version of this movie where you just have scene after scene of Neville and Mad Eye talking alone in his office, and it's shot like a scene from Inglourious Bastards. At any moment the wands are going to come out and everyone's going to die.
Oh man, now I'm really mad we never got that. Jesus, could you imagine the bar scene from Inglourious Bastards with wizards? Everyone pulls out their wands. There's a wand shotgun. They're all shooting sparks and snakes and snails at each other.
It's at hog speed.
They each take out progressively larger wands to smoke out of.
You can't tell me in the Harry Potter world they don't have war wands that are like the size of cannons.
I imagine that scene would play out exactly like that. And then Dumbledore's brother reaches from underneath the bar and pulls out a fucking shotgun and blows them away.
A real shotgun.
Also, does this remind you of Jurassic Park? Anybody else?
Yes, very much. Specifically Lost World.
So I mentioned this during the intro, but boy, fantasy and dragons. You can't live with them and you really can't live without them. No movie really wants to make a dragon a huge, huge part because they're expensive to animate and you got to worry about, there being a giant lizard taking over your movie. How do you animate if they talk or not? See Harry Potter.
Are they Sean Connery?
Are they Sean Connery? That's what we all want to know. But Harry Potter and dragons, really, that's one of the tropes they heavily focus on. In a lot of the movies, we get dragons or dragon-type creatures around. I guess it makes a certain amount of sense. As a kid, I thought dragons were fucking the coolest. Something about basically a dinosaur that breathes fire is unavoidably cool to a young boy. And I will say, as a young man, still really cool.
I learned today that the dragons in this film actually lack the upper arms that dragons are supposed to have, replacing those limbs instead with the wings, which means that they are, yes, and I have to burden the audience with that knowledge because that's in my head forever. I can't do anything about it.
Oh, I found this out years ago, and it ruined everything for me forever.
Because now you're just running through your head, how many secret wyverns have I seen over the years?
Technically, I have not seen that many fucking dragons. I've seen almost no dragons.
It's true. Audience at home, go look through your collection right now of movies and just imagine how many of these dragons have 4 legs. The answer is going to be pretty much none of them. Pete and his dragon.
And don't even get me started on all. Don't get me started on all those fawns that are actually satyrs.
Wizard fight! Wizard fight! Oh, I shouted that, and apparently my neighbor just died of a heart attack, so there's a lot of upstairs.
No, his family was killed in a wizard fight.
I feel bad now. McGonagall has a very solid point about this. Teachers should not be turning students into ferrets and then waving them around. I'm pretty sure he's using a version of the Cretaceous curse, which we've already gone into. Super illegal.
And this would just get you fired in any real school.
Oh, God, yes.
You technically made those kids perform a sex act.
Yeah, this is Mad Eye. You fucked up, man. I know your name is Mad Eye, but that's maybe a reason why you shouldn't have been hired.
This is a terrible school.
Damn. Harry was enjoying that way too much.
Look, honestly, if someone turned my high school bully into a ferret and then dropped him into the pants of his best friend, it would be the best day of my life.
Only as a reward.
You can become a sex panther.
Just turns into Mary and the Witch's Flower.
McGonagall is another character who is unfortunately underserved in some of these movies. She doesn't have a lot of lines, just some reaction shots. But again, you've got like 40 fucking characters. There's so many people in the school, they all can't have moments.
Yet McGonagall is arguably the one, side character who never gets lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, well, I feel the same with Snape. Everyone remembers how important Snape is, but he does just jack shit in a lot of the movies. He gets like one scene where he gets to be snippy at Harry Potter, and everyone just thinks that's good enough.
Oh, you're still here.
Join me. Take off your robo legs. Small visual clue there that looked like Barty Crouch Sr. Oh, foreshadowing.
I like how Harry just lets that go.
Yeah, right? What if he'd ask, like, no, what's in there? And he'd be like, shit, I should not have mentioned the box holding the actual Mad Eye. That was a mistake. Just pretended to say anything.
Now, what if Harry went, no, I believe you, let me see inside?
I'm very curious. I'm a young boy. We're curious about everything, sir.
I fought Voldemort on several occasions. I'm a superhero. Certainly I can handle an old rattly chest. What you got in there? Underwear?
I like how
Wizard
transatlantic
underwear?
he's becoming. Hey there! Time to roll the bones!
Lord Harry Potter, the boy who lived here, coming in across the radio airwaves.
Time to fly across the transatlantic on my broom.
That's the Harry Potter Mystery Hour, starring me, Harry Potter.
Oh, I'd love that. Okay, so I touched on this in the last commentary. The fact that Harry Potter is, by and large, a pretty normal to even sometimes substandard wizard. I mean, with the Patronus, like he fails at that 2 times and then gets it the 3rd time, which is just the movie trying to push things along. But they did show you that he failed. This movie, he constantly needs the help of others to get through this challenge. And I appreciate that. I really don't like the Chosen One narratives pushing the idea that some people are just born better than everyone else.
Yeah.
This is, Harry Potter has that thrown upon him, but they often explore the trope by going, well, you know, he's treated like that guy, but he's not. I mean, he gets the benefit of being treated that way, but he's pretty much a normal dude, and he's got to make his way with that on his shoulders.
He's one of the few chosen one archetypes that actually earn the win at the end.
Yeah. Well, that's something I love about how the series sticks the landing with Deathly Hallows, where ultimately Hogwarts is the hero. Harry's just kind of the leader there. And it's that's one of the reasons I wish they played up the whole thing about Neville almost being attacked by Voldemort up more in the movies, because I've always loved how that's essentially Rowling saying, yeah, the Chosen One stuff actually doesn't matter. It's like, all this happens because all this happens just because Voldemort picked a name out of a hat, essentially.
He had like 2 to pick from, and he picked wrong.
Crumb is confused.
Like normal.
I love Dumbledore popping up. What the hell is going on in here?
Oh, get out of here, photographers! I bet being a photographer in the wizard world is super easy, because all the subjects are moving. As long as you get them in the frame, they'll take care of the rest. Like, you can't ever pose and compose a picture unless it's landscapes. We kind of ran past this. I want to mention this back when Gary Oldman was in The Fire, and he mentions keep your friends close. Because it really feels like he's giving a thesis statement to the movie, and then the movie decides, but let's wrap that plot up after like 40 minutes and then find a new thesis. Because the closeness of friends seems like such a huge, the overarching idea of the Harry Potter series is the difference between Harry and Voldemort is Harry's got friends and a support network, which allows him to be better than just himself. And that's why he beats Voldemort, who is exceptional, but alone. In this movie, the whole deal is Harry's fighting with his friends, and really that subplot's resolved pretty quickly after this test. And sure, we get Harry getting advice from other people, but it kind of turns away from that theme. It's almost like a theme gets wrapped up a third of the way through the movie, and then they just don't bother introducing another really strong theme afterwards.
Yeah, I think it's a casualty of this just being such an episodic story that way.
Yeah.
Because of that, you end up with the third act being just mostly plot, which I think works fine.
Yeah. People give a lot of shit to the idea of episodic content, and I don't understand why that's necessarily a problem. You don't want everything that way. And sure, it's great if you have overarching long threads. But hell, episodes work great.
I like Harry. They're about to meet Mean Joe Green and hand him a Coke.
God, this tournament has to be so boring for wizards to watch. I think about this and stuff like Star Wars Episode 1 when they're watching pod racing. You see the action for like 10 seconds, and then it decides to fly around the castle, and you can't catch any of it. There's no video jumbotron showing you the rest of this shit.
You did pretty much just describe NASCAR for people.
Yeah, I don't get that either. At least when you watch it.
Alcohol.
These guys are all drinking butterbeer and rum. Damn good stuff.
So is Harry under the impression that he could just walk out, grab it, and leave?
Maybe.
He's gonna kitty pride his way through it.
You don't know until you try. I'm Harry Potter. I don't know what I'm doing.
Why don't you use some of the advice you learned from Ron's seldom seen older brother Bill?
Yeah, we don't even get Bill at all in this one, do we?
Do we get Bill?
Is he in the opening?
Movies?
I don't know.
Do we ever
get
see him?
Percy? We see Percy.
I don't think so.
We might see him in like one of the photographs because, Ron shows off the picture of his family in Egypt, and like that's it. It's got to be the whole family, though, right? He mentions them.
It's weird. It's like the Wayans brothers. They're just a clown car full of Weasleys that we don't even meet.
No, I'm trying to think of the later movies because Flower Delacour marries Bill, right?
Yes.
And we see him in one of those scenes.
She gets some of that dragon dick.
Yeah, I think we see him for a couple minutes, like when they're doing the Harry Potter Voldemort escape in Deathly Hallows 1.
I am curious, Mike, as somebody who watched the movies first, was it really random for you when Fleur just shows back up in Deathly Hallows in a wedding?
There was a lot of that, honestly.
Oh, now we should all feel dumb. I just looked this up. Domhnall Gleeson plays fucking Bill Weasley.
Oh, yeah, fuck. I forgot.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I feel dumb now. This was before he did like every other movie franchise in the world.
It's been so long since I've watched any of the ones where he actually shows up.
He's just a minor part. I can see why you'd forget him.
I don't
Like,
know
he's
how many
never a focal
lines
character.
Bill actually has.
He's probably like, "Hello, I'm Bill. You've probably heard of me many times. Goodbye."
He's like Homer Simpson's brother Herb.
But yeah, watching the Potter films for the first time as an adult, there was a lot of, but I thought this was supposed to be important, but this is just here all of a sudden. Or, oh yeah, that person. They're oddly disjointed as a series in ways you wouldn't expect.
Well, the good thing about a book series is you have years between each book, so there can be kind of weird plots that don't necessarily overarch or anything. I wonder what it'd be like if you actually sat down and marathon the Harry Potter books and read all of them in like a week.
Before Deathly Hallows came out, I did that with the series over the course of like 2 or 3 months, and they surprisingly flow together very well.
I mean, I don't really have that many criticisms of J.K. Rowling as an author, so it makes sense. Plus, she was working on those. I imagine she finished one and then immediately started on the next, so she didn't have a lot of time between to change things up. It's not like a George R. R. Martin deal where he's got like 8 years between books, so he had plenty of time to stop and think about things and change his mind.
Well, I think Just going back to the omissions and stuff, I think the thing that kept tripping the movies up was Rowling's obsession with really minor characters and plot points becoming super important later because she liked them.
It's funny now because she'll do interviews about the series and she'll talk like, oh, I shouldn't have done this and I shouldn't have done that. And I kind of feel like, no, you were fine. What you put down was good. I'm glad you haven't made any changes. Stop that.
Rowling says a lot of things. At this point, she seems to regret half of the story to Harry Potter, and I'm not sure how that's possible.
Right. It's one of those deals. I think a lot of creators finish something and you're never really done. You just have to publish.
Yeah. Most of the time, people just don't keep asking the creator, like, so how do you feel about this 10 years later?
Right, and you have to constantly reevaluate your opinions.
Just her and George Lucas.
And it probably keeps fucking with your head after a while, too.
Yeah. It's my new favorite party trick. You're all deaf.
Could you imagine if that was filled with chocolate?
Shut up,
Even the
Ron.
paintings are damaged. I do have written in my notes, time to shit on Ron. All aboard. So good time.
Yeah.
Choo-choo.
Every movie gets that moment where it's, hey, Ron Weasley. God damn it.
I'm sorry I was mad at you for being awesome, Harry.
Also, Harry, does he apologize for basically being a dick to Ron?
No.
Yeah, he apologizes by plowing his little sister.
It was all the long con.
They call that the old Harry Potter apology.
Like, Ron actually was trying to help Harry, as demonstrated here. He comes up and apologizes to Harry, and Harry's response was, angry sarcasm. Fine, I guess we're friends again. Harry, you dick.
You didn't tell him about the fireman.
The Human Torch?
Also, now that I think about it, this is really the only series where every pairing we're given is unintentionally hilarious. Like, Tonks and Lupin in bed together is the funniest mental image. Hagrid and his giant bride, Harry and Ginny Weasley.
Okay, serious question. If you were a werewolf, and it's not the full moon, but you're making love, do you or do you not sing Werewolves of London as foreplay?
I feel like you're obligated. And I thought you were going to say, do you turn into the wolf out of lust? And I would say Teen Wolf told us yes.
Yeah, that makes sense there.
And the howling. Also, I've been in this situation with as Harry.
I'm sorry, I thought you were going to say I've been in this werewolf situation.
I have turned into a werewolf while inside a woman, yes.
I have been the hairy wolf man.
I was the wolfen.
Oh no!
So I feel like everybody at some point has done the wave and realization before.
Oh yeah, this is the wrong person.
The Peter Parker special.
Oof. Oof. I have not spit out a drink while trying to smile at someone. I have that to my pride.
What a weird
Go
freak
away,
this little kid
replacement
is.
Colin Creevy.
Colin, buddy, you already met Harry a bunch of times. Like, you gotta be buddies by this point. He's, what, a year younger than you?
Oh, that's not Colin Creevy. That's a weird replacement Colin they had for just this in Order of the Phoenix. I don't know why.
No wonder I'm confused. Is Harry just eating Fruit Loops? Are those at least magic Fruit Loops? I feel like Beetlejuice wore this in one of his deleted scenes.
That does look like his wedding gown.
A little bit. He's got a rocket. That's the difference. Michael Keaton could pull it off. Ron Weasley cannot.
What amuses me is arguably wearing this is optional.
Right? You can wear whatever you want, I'm sure.
No, he's poor, but
They're magic. Literally, they can make anything into anything. They turned a rat into a cup in the first movie. Just find a magic seamstress who can just turn your shitty robes into good robes.
No, Mom would know.
are you ever amused at how fucking serious McGonagall takes the dance?
I know.
She's so into it.
This sequence is the most realistic thing in any of these goddamn movies, I have to say.
That's true.
I never got sat down and explained the importance of going to a dance in my school. I also love Filch going through the records, not sure which one's the best for this moment.
Which one's the sexiest?
Bradley's just in the background fucking around for almost 90% of his scenes, and it's a joy to watch him.
I do have to say, in my school, we were given dance lessons with this level of fucking gravitas for some reason.
We did square dancing in gym, which they were very serious about, but that's because they were treating it like an exercise routine, and if you get the goddamn steps right, you won't burn those carbs.
I don't know why teachers always treat dance class like it's sex ed.
Because they're not allowed to teach sex ed, so they have to put that energy somewhere.
But pretty much.
You and your ugly robes. I finally get to touch McGonagall. So nice.
Ooh.
So smells like Werther's.
She's a cat.
Okay, so I know I picked on a lot of weird little continuity bits and mythology questions in the series, and I won't stop. So here's another one. In the first film, we're shown that most students will go home for Christmas to be with their families. But in Goblet of Fire, the students stay behind for a dance. As my comic book guy moment, it doesn't make sense to me that everyone just decides to not see their parents for Christmas, but rather instead to go home or to stay in school and dance. Harry implies the implication.
So to say, Harry's getting a little red pill up in here.
A little bit. Oh, I'm out of date. I'm the boy who lived.
Why is he Rick there? I'm Harry Potter up in this bitch.
Time to get riggedy harried.
Also got the beauty of Hagrid in this scene.
It's weird that we have this small moment of humanity for Hagrid. He just gets to talk about his dad and his mom, almost have a date.
With this gigantic woman.
Yeah, that's just... who eats stuff out of his beard. This is such a weird scene that they just decided, like, we need a moment to explore who Hagrid is as a person. He will be alone for the rest of his life, but have this nice moment where Hagrid has a connection with another human being.
Also, is Crumb swatting invisible flies or something? I think he's having an episode.
He can only see them. It's like the magic horses that draw the carriages. Alan Rickman abusing students physically since whatever year this movie came out.
I've always been confused. What the fuck is Snape doing to these children?
Mussing their hair up with too much affection. Or possibly too little.
It's like he's just touching them with force. I don't understand. I've never seen this gesture before.
It's weird. Like he rolls up his sleeve and then he just shoves their heads down. Like, why didn't he smack their heads together like coconuts? With pantomime skills that good, you have to go out with them.
There was really good pantomime skills.
Oh, fantastic. There's a reason why he's got a date.
See, and Ron can't imitate.
He was trying, but he got whacked by Snape.
I love how this is how Snape operates as a teacher.
Wizard study hall, time to hit students.
Which you can apparently just leave.
That's fine. I don't understand why he's not being like 5 points from goddamn Gryffindor. Shut the fuck up.
They'd moved past. I'm still convinced the house cups in canon are just there as something to occupy the first year students.
I mean,
that's all a joke to everyone else.
They really don't give a shit after like year two. What is this? Why are they in pain? You just pushed your face forward.
Is it something magical? I feel like an effect is missing.
Maybe they realized it was too bad when blood started shooting from their eyes. We have to cut that effect. It's too much. So is the Owlry. That has to be a new location for us to actually see in a Harry Potter film.
Yep.
Yay, we're expanding what Hogwarts is.
It's always so weird they have to go that far away from the rest of the school to send a fucking owl.
I mean, they're pooping
Or
all over the
smoke
place.
pot.
You want those... boy, I bet you're right.
It's almost as if Dumbledore wants to make communication with the outside world as difficult as possible.
You just ban birds then. But I'm 100% sure Mike is right. This is where all the students come to smoke magic cigarettes and dope and have mushrooms.
Smoke gilly weed.
God, what do you imagine? What do you imagine drugs are like in the wizarding world?
Oh my god!
Like it would
I
just
bet
turn
they're
you
the
into Doctor
best.
Strange.
Oh my god! Imagine the trips you could go on with magic mushrooms. It's also probably more dangerous because you could have a guy just get like super trashed on wizard beer and then go flying on his broom. That's even worse than a car. Like you're just several hundred feet in the air and then there's nothing to protect you from falling into the middle of a lake.
That's what started World War I, just high wizards. That's going to be the next Fantastic Beasts. Fantastic weed and where to smoke it. Like, wow, J.K. Rowling does not give a fuck.
Once they approve weed in all 50 states, that'll be the next part of the franchise when Disney can approve it.
That's what makes it the American Harry Potter.
It
I want to
reveals-
stop and correct that. Disney doesn't own WB yet.
Yes. Also, it's revealed whenever he gets high, Newt becomes really racist.
No.
That's-
No, Newt.
Why is Eddie Redmayne in hot water yet again?
Oh, poor Ron. I mean, let's be honest here. Who hasn't accidentally screamed at a girl while trying to ask her out?
Why do I feel like this is just like one of those Ross scenes from Friends, where if you take out the laugh track, it's just a dude attacking a woman?
Because it probably was. Also, isn't it a little weird the movie has such a hard-on for twins? Like, we had the Weasley twins, and now it's like, there's also the Pavarti twins who say everything together. Twins in Rowling's mind are apparently just duplicates.
Well, it's like
Well,
the
that's
mentally
real-life
handicapped
magic,
and Stephen King.
To back up just a little bit, it was a nice little touch with Emma Watson doing her disappointed face when Ron asked out a girl. Which is very strange because she yelled at him before when she asked her out. Like, I already have a date. Fuck you, Ron. No, Ron, how dare you have someone else?
No,
They
I want
do,
you to be miserable.
Teenagers are silly.
Why can't I have everything and you have nothing?
2 points, once again, referring to my 2 points versions here.
You got to give them the left and the right.
One, they really did do Ron Hermione's teen angst for one another really fucking well in this film.
Okay.
It's very
2,
realistic.
So, is Harry... So, I can't decide. Does Harry look like a vampire, or does he look like an opera conductor? It could go either way.
Opera conductor. He's too tiny for a Dracula.
He looks like he's about to get some Figaro on.
Yep.
I want to say I never said Dracula. I said vampire. Dracula and
use
vampire
Dracula
are two
as
different
just a
classes of the
coverall.
same creature.
Look, we can get into this some other time, but I use Dracula as a coverall.
Also, seeing the twins again reminded me to bring up. I love how the Harry Potter series is like the most diversely casted movie with all British actors I've ever seen. The entire series.
Although all the diversity has to happen on the borders.
Hey, these movies were made in another time, technically.
I mean, what? They're all technically set in the 1990s, back when all your main characters were white.
But I do think that is worth noting. Like, these were still being made in a time where you didn't really see that many non-white people in big franchise movies, even if it is in just small supporting roles.
I mean, the representation is there at least. There are some extras who aren't just pure white. That's something. I've seen that complaint before about different like war movies set in World War II. How they completely ignore like, hey, it wasn't just white guys who were fighting in the war. We had like all sorts of people from India. We had, you know, literally the entire world was in on that pretty much. So you had a lot of variety. But in war movies, pretty much, here's 50 clones of John Wayne.
Cody, if you read a history book in your life, you would know the world is mostly white Americans.
It's all white. And no Nikes.
This is where I want my wedding held.
Dude, it looks like a baller bash. Like, I would actually want to go to this dance. Like, awkward teenage hormones aside, this seems like a fun party. Their goddamn cellos and violins are made of ice. Harry does a pretty good job at this dance. I'll give him credit for that. Although he does like a weird ghosty hip touch there.
Well, didn't Radcliffe have like 4 days to learn how to dance for this?
Yes.
Like he got an Iron Fist choreography essentially.
Oh, Filch and his cat.
Aren't his
I
feet
wanna
CGI,
know.
by the way?
I think
I've never heard that. I don't know.
I think he was shot only from the waist up. So yeah, if there's a shot of its feet, it's either a CGI or somebody else. Also, who is Karkaroff's one scene girlfriend? I really want to know.
Oh, this is an interesting bit I hadn't noticed before. Mad Eye has in his decorative dress a stuffed ferret for the crotch piece, cod piece. And he made Malfoy into a ferret before. This dude's got a ferret deal.
And stuffed him in somebody's crotch.
Yeah, this is all coming together a little too neatly.
I'm starting to understand his time in Azkaban.
Okay, I want to pay attention to this because I think it's the coolest shit in the world.
Of
The
course.
band that's playing right now, the Weird Sisters. We have Jarvis Cocker. We've got Johnny Greenwood, the fucking guitarist from Radiohead, which blows my mind as a big Radiohead fan. Like, he's just there. And there's also Phil Selway, the drummer from Radiohead, is in here. It's half of Radiohead is just playing a Harry Potter magic band. Jason Buckle, Steve Mackey, Steve Clayton. It's like a super band. Like, there's a lot of really, really talented people here. And then they just assembled and made 2 Harry Potter magic themed songs.
It's the greatest jam band ever assembled.
It's amazing. Like,
this.
any of these guys are talented enough to get me to buy an album and just cram them all together to just be background noise and in a shot. It's a wonderful cameo. For music nerds, like, holy shit, yes! It's like 2 Fists of Radiohead! Yes!
And I should point out, they cannot legally be called the Weird Sisters in this movie because of a lawsuit.
They spelled theirs differently, at least. I don't know how your guys' experience was at school dances, but they always, for me, were filled with an unnecessary amount of drama. So this rings very true to my own personal experience in high school.
That's the only reason dances exist.
Pretty much. So it's great watching the scene to be like, oh, good, even wizards have shitty dances.
That's one of the things that gets me about so much traditional high school and middle school shit. It seems to only exist to give very upset children more things to be upset about.
Those things like, I like this girl, she doesn't like me, or I like this girl, we didn't dance well, we kissed weird, oh no, someone else asked her for a dance.
So God, those girls must spend the rest of their time at Hogwarts just hating Ron and Harry.
Oh, for
Became
sure.
Death Eaters.
Could you imagine if you were on a date and a guy treated you like that at the Magic College?
And the problem is, from what we've seen of Hogwarts, it's not a gigantic place. It's not a graduating class of like 400. You're going to have to deal with like the same other 50 kids in your common room for the next 3 years.
Yeah, I never really thought about that, but you see those common rooms. There's like 3 bedrooms for each house.
I'd like to imagine, like, each year you get a little higher in the tower. So by year 7, you're like at the top of the tower, and the first years aren't by you.
Yeah, if Harry had actually spent the last year at Hogwarts, he would have been in the Owlery. So that is Hagrid straight up just grabbing some butt.
Good for Hagrid. Make your move, buddy.
How angry would Batman be to see two giants making love?
A fitting end for their kind.
Oh, the long-standing tradition of let's follow a bird around Hogwarts for some establishing shots.
Time.
I want just a mashup of all of those from the series just play as my screensaver.
Oh, that'd be beautiful.
On that Windows 95 computer I have that needs a screensaver.
That is my mind.
What a Tim Burton shot that is.
It really is.
It's such a cool statue. I'm sure they had to be like, we need more dream sequences to take advantage of this thing.
Yeah, we haven't talked a lot about
house.
We haven't talked a lot about Newell. Only here and there, but I don't think Newell gets a lot of credit as a Potter director. He's kind of forgotten about and looked over.
Yeah, well, he only had the one.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny. I was doing some reading about it, and apparently he was offered Sorcerer's Stone, and he turned it down, and so this was kind of his second chance to get back in the game. And he didn't, wasn't able to make the first one work, so here he is. Imagine how different the series had been if he had taken over for Sorcerer's Stone.
I couldn't imagine that.
Yeah.
Also, Neville got laid, didn't he?
Yep.
With Ginny. Goddamn. Harry's just going to blink this out.
She made him take his shoes off. Yeah, Newell, like, he has the very difficult burden of bridging two completely different tones with Goblet of Fire. Because we got a lot of bridging in Azkaban, moving into the darker stuff. But this is really the movie where it becomes latter day Potter, tone wise.
And he owns it. Like, does such an amazing fucking job. Like, I don't know where Goblet falls for you guys, but Azkaban's still probably my favorite, but that's almost cheating. Because I think it's everybody's. But
that's Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, but like right behind it is Goblet for me.
I honestly, Goblet never occupied that much space in my imagination whenever I originally watched it, but rewatching it for the commentary series, yeah, it's up there. It's not my second favorite, it's at least my third.
I'm a little softer on it. I mean, I don't hate it or anything like that, but I don't know if I'd rank it towards the very top of my list. It's somewhere in the middle of the pack for me. But again, I think a lot of that just is. It's based on such a long book with so many other details that have to be jettisoned. The first 3 Harry Potter films had the luck of essentially adapting short books, so they could get all those details into a 2.5-hour running time. You don't have that here. And some of the later ones, they can deviate a little bit more. They start to stray from the path and kind of do their own thing. The last one gets split into 2 movies, so they really get to explore things more. I don't know. I guess my issue is not with the technical talent happening on screen, but maybe the sacrifices they had to make in the screenplay area. Anyways, this is a damn fine drink for such an awkward moment.
Why did the picture want to look at him?
At that nude boy.
Even stained glass is alive in this world, and I hate it. I like how Harry thought, if I just take a bat, this will work.
Yeah, what a fucking dumbass, honestly. I have to be nude and wet, in bubbles. Why the bubbles, Harry?
If only Robert Pattinson had been more clear to mention just put it underwater instead of being a dumbass. Thank God Myrtle was here to check out my junk.
So, do you think this scene is why Daniel Radcliffe developed a drinking problem?
Yes.
What movie was that where he really had to deal with substance issues?
I want to say Yeah, Half-Blood's the one where he's just drunk in several scenes.
Yeah.
And seriously, imagine filming this for Radcliffe. He's, 16 at the time, and this old woman dressed as a 12-year-old girl is flirting with him aggressively. Mark Newell is behind the camera going, yes, yes!
And I imagine it's an old-timey crank camera.
I assume she was filmed like on a green
bandaged.
screen, but
And this is just Radcliffe's world. Also, it's only really just occurred to me that technically because Myrtle's here, Harry's decided to take a bath in the defunct girl's bathroom.
yes.
Okay, then. So we're just all addressing
Really?
it.
Yep, that's just
I
what it
never
is.
thought of that. He has his own toilet.
Yeah, it's very silly because one, like, fucking Cedric tells him to go there, like, go take a bath. And he gives him, like, the specific spot, like, I hear this is a good place for one. Just tell him, fill up a sink in your bathroom, put your head underwater. Take a bath anywhere, put your head underwater. Here's what the message said. It's really like a couplet. Like, there's no excuse for any of this to happen.
Wait, are you saying it's possible that Cedric wasn't trying to do anything with the ad? Like, he just got a blowjob from Myrtle and was trying to hook Harry up?
I think that's
Maybe.
exactly what's going on.
I think Cedric's just a little dense. Like, maybe he was hoping Harry would be too stupid to figure the clue out, but he could feel good about, like, giving Harry at least a tip. Ron, you're not even helping.
Ron, are you going to be a knight this time?
You're gonna chess your way out of this.
Why are you even carrying that egg around? If you open in this library, you will be murdered.
Snape will come up out of the shadows and touch your head.
I like
One of those magic books
Ghostbusters
will just
happening in
kill
the
you.
background.
Imagine a library where they just Dewey Decimal themselves.
Either a librarian's dream or a librarian's nightmare.
All they're doing is just rearranging themselves for no purpose.
I've decided I'm no longer an autobiography. Moving myself over to fiction. Goodbye, million little pieces.
Deep cut.
You're
Cody.
welcome.
We don't get a lot of Oprah deep cuts in this podcast. I'm always happy to see them.
You need them every once in a while. Keeps you humble.
See, no human would stack books that way.
Slime.
I'll be here all night.
God, I feel like we've been here for 3 hours already and haven't even done the second challenge.
Yeah, there is such a long fucking period of time between challenges. It's mad.
Moody.
Thank you. Well, in sync we all are. We know how to complete the joke.
Good.
But yeah, it's like, as much as I love this, it's impressive that I love it as much considering how wonky the structure is.
And like we keep saying, it all ultimately just comes down to, that's a big fucking book.
Yeah, there's like, it's the wonkiness is of no one's fault. It's just that's the nature of the beast.
I still think it would have been better if instead of that sequence in the library, we had a scene involving Dobby!
Oh! I don't like Dobby.
I think...
Do you want to buy some... Does Harry Potter want to buy some gillyweed from Dobby?
Gilly's wearing a fucking Gilly. Dobby's wearing a trench coat with gillyweed inside of it.
Opens it up.
He's the Flasher Gremlin from Gremlins.
Just one bite will have you breathing underwater, all right. Harry Potter likes to breathe underwater, doesn't he?
If Dobby were...
things no one can see underneath the waves.
You want to see how long Dobby can hold his breath?
Would Harry Potter
late.
like to buy a kidney? Get in the water. Oh, I'm dying.
Also, fun fact, you bring up the flashing gremlin. It's currently beside me.
Oh, did you get the Nika figure?
No, I got the Funko.
Oh, there's a Funko for that? That's awesome and inappropriate.
Yes, it's delightful. He's just adorable. I do want to get the Nika Gremlin
I
stuff.
don't think it's out yet. I mean, they've done a lot of Gremlins in the past. I think they're doing like an Ultimate Gremlin
Yeah, it
with like
comes out
all
in
the
October.
accessories. Yeah, I'm trying to buy less action figures because at some point in my life I want to get laid. So
Me,
I
on the
might
other
have to make
hand,
I might have to make an exception for that one because it's so goddamn cool. I'll put it up at work.
I just want to say, could we have please just cut to credits at "I've killed Harry Potter"? Ocean man with a piece of a life home in the sand.
I mean, that would be the missed ending of the Harry Potter series. Harry gets dunked on and drowns, and Neville has a crisis. Also, Harry's friends are apparently murdered because that's how the Triwizard Cup works. If you don't rescue your friends, the mer people get to keep them.
That's why Dumbledore was so angry.
who fucking comes up with this shit? Because it's so unnecessary.
I mean, what's wrong with the Wizards doing a regular triathlon? Like they just get on bicycles and then they do a marathon.
Fucking do
Why don't-
squats. First one to pass out loses. There, you're done.
Nobody has to die. I'm also confused by the structure of this. So in the second challenge, not everyone completes their task and rescues their friends, which is why Harry has to, rescue other people.
There's no penalization.
Right, they just get to continue on. And I guess in the third challenge, that means you're further behind. In the first challenge, as long as you win, you get a clue for the second one. So it doesn't matter how you place or how you do as long as you get through. The second one actually has placing, which is weird. Now, ranks are involved, but that only determines your starting position in a maze that apparently doesn't matter because everyone catches up with themselves because it's a confusing goddamn maze.
Well, I guess the penalization for losing the second match is just you've killed someone, and that fucks with you in the third match because you're trying to go through a maze with ghosts.
Your friend is dead. Why? I don't even understand why that would be a consideration in the Triwizard Tournament. Like, oh, you're bad. Your friend's dead. I hope you're happy.
Also, God is waterlogged, dead Ron Weasley, the saddest thing in the world. He just looks like he should be wrapped in plastic and found by Pete on a fucking fishing expedition.
I found a Weasley boy wrapped in plastic.
Is it
it
weird
never
that
occurred to
I'm
me to use
still...
my wand.
Yeah, why did that never occur to Harry? Is it weird how I'm vaguely still attracted to the mermaids?
A little? They don't even have holes.
Well, that's not the most important part. And
Does any mermaid have a hole?
I don't think so. But look at those pointy teeth. I don't like any of it. No sirens for me, good sir.
So can somebody please put in the theme to The Shape of Water during this scene?
As Crumb, half fish, most man swims by.
Yeah, fucking that's the closest to a live action Street Sharks movie we'll ever get.
Is Joseph. God, when you think about it, Street Sharks is an incredibly Russian TV show. This is me and my brother and other brother. We is sharks now.
They're not wearing tracksuits.
We fight Piranha Man for control of street.
Awesome.
I am shark and I wear wife beater. Don't bother me about it. Now let's tear up the street.
I really want to watch this show. If someone can make 6 animated episodes of Russian Street Sharks, you would have my money.
If the biker mice from Mars come here, we kill them. We shoot them in the fucking head. You don't fuck with the street sharks.
The extreme dinosaurs are Irish.
Just throwing that out there.
They're actually
The
part of
Teenage
the
Mutant
IRA.
Ninja Turtles are actually the same.
Harry, swim, you dummy.
I like this version of 90s cartoons we've come up with. Ah, they're
Yes.
octopi now. I
don't like them. No, those are different things, aren't they? Aren't those kelpies or something weird?
I believe so, but still,
I
they
don't
probably
know.
still taste as good as octopus.
Oh, fried. I bet they'd be delicious. So, totally unrelated to the moment we have right now,
Go on.
but going back to the thing I keep harping on about the difference between book and movie, the fact that we have to move through these things so fast is a bit of a bummer in the healing of the damage between Ron and Hermione. Like, we see them hate each other at the dance, and they obviously have the hots for each other, and then they're just fine afterwards. And it really feels like they need a scene to at least get over that. But since they're side characters, they just kind of assume you're fine with that happening off screen.
You know, it's funny. I normally would say I totally agree. And it feels like there's connective tissue missing. But it actually feels more teenagery that they're just fine the next scene.
I don't know. I hold grudges.
That's how I feel.
I just never talk to those people again in my life.
Well, not everyone worships the petty wolf, Cody.
Oh!
Oh, you look fat in that dress. Also, I do imagine the whole almost dying thing probably made them reevaluate their lives.
Maybe. I mean, they're unconscious for most of it. Ron just got a little waterlogged. Then kissed by a pretty girl.
Who will one day fuck his werewolf brother.
Yeah, there's a lot of that in the series.
Everything is incest.
Please stop touching Ginny. She's mine.
I reward Gryffindor 80 Oh, we're not doing that anymore. I'm sorry.
I'll save it for the end of the year. I love this move that they introduced earlier in the movie that you can amplify your voice by putting a wand to your throat. It's a neat physical little move that just adds a nice amount of detail to how the wizarding world comes together.
Yeah, and it looks cool, honestly.
Yeah.
I like how this is when it was around this time they started making all those little practical additions, just the visual language of these movies. It made them feel so much more tangible. I really like it.
You're spending all of your life for like 4 months holding a piece of wood. Let's just have you do something with it. Yeah, there was some story about Dan Radcliffe. Like, he had a bunch of wands and they had to keep making them for him because he would just keep playing with them and breaking them all the time or wearing them out just by like throwing them around or rubbing them. It's one of those deals you don't have to think about as a non-actor, but these guys are literally holding wands in all of their scenes. So
doing nothing.
Yeah, you're spending months essentially holding a stick while you're being forced to act. So I imagine they'd have to go through those things like crazy because I'd just be fucking around with them.
And you know some went up an ass somewhere.
Goyle. Also, I just want to say, is it just me or is this actor like the greatest Hercule Poirot who never happened?
Yeah.
He needs a bigger mustache.
He just looks like he is secretly the greatest detective who ever lived.
That's a nice little nod between actors. David Tennant started doing that lip licking thing, so like, let's just make sure everyone does it. Plus, when he needs the polyjuice potion, that's his tell. Like, he's got to lick his lips. Good bit of characterization.
On the second watch through, it's like, wow, this is so overtly telegraphed. It's like, how'd I miss the first
really
time?
Hammer you with the tells between the characters, that weird confrontation between Barty and Mad Eye. All the times we see David Tennant at the start of the movie and then never again. Snape flat out says, someone's stealing stuff to brew polyjuice potion.
Yeah, you still don't expect the movie to go that bonkers with it. Which I think is what really sells it.
Well, they downplay the mystery aspect. I think in the books it's a little bit more forefront. So in this case, it's my acting.
Except there, then it's like, okay, clearly Mad Eye just did that.
On his own, it had nothing to do with Voldemort.
Just because, sick kicks.
Also, I love the supervillain entrance to Dumbledore's plot chamber.
Looks like he's about to give an epic speech on how to kill Superman.
I mean, that's why we're all here tonight.
Real estate, Harry. It's the one thing they're not making more of.
We're going to Dumbledore Land. God damn it, Dumbledore. Okay, so in a moment he's going to introduce Harry to probably the world's only killer candy. What if Harry said he didn't? What if Harry said he didn't want a licorice snap? Is he just supposed to interpret that as a clue? And why make him dangerous? Why? How did you know any of this was going to play out, Dumbledore? How?
I'm pretty sure Dumbledore can see the future in these movies.
We're talking about clearly Dumbledore's death.
Also, Harry, you just grabbed like 30 of those motherfuckers.
What did you think was going to happen, Harry?
So rude. You take one. That's why he got bit. He didn't take a normal handful. And then he has to murder them all. They escaped. I have to kill them.
Why is that hidden?
Is this fucking Batman costume gonna come out?
All of Dumbledore's memories. Of course he's got to hide that. There's probably inappropriate stuff for students.
Earlier.
He was alone with teachers.
Just all the time he had. Well, it's just all the times he had sex with Wizard Hitler.
He doesn't want that getting out.
Not that Wizard Hitler, the other Wizard Hitler.
Wizard Hitler 1.0.
Wizard Mussolini.
Wizard Kaiser.
To interrupt the fun name game. I do enjoy the way they have represented fuck, I'm forgetting the name. Basically the idea of revisiting memories. It's not just viewing it on a screen. Pensive, there we go, thank you. The fact that he goes in and essentially becomes this ghost. It's fun. It allows a little bit of spice. You can just do more than a regular flashback. There's a lot you can work with in this.
Yeah, I was really disappointed they went kind of lazy with it in Order of the Phoenix, and it was just some flashes of stuff.
Yeah. This one, we get Harry actually falling through space for a minute. That's fun. God damn, though. Let's take a moment to focus on the fact that the wizard system's fucking barbaric.
That Dracula chamber he's being kept in.
Right? Here, let's just interrogate you while you're standing in this spiked coffin.
I love how they're dealing with the most deadly wizards in the world, and still their top concern is, what if he makes a run for it? He needs to poke himself.
It's also, I mean, earlier in this movie, Snape mentions the fact that they can make a truth potion that can make anyone in the world talk, and yet they have conversations about, like, how do we know which wizards are real Death Eaters? And why don't we just make this guy drink this magic potion that tells the truth, and then ask him all these questions?
The guy playing Karkaroff, is it me, or is he the greatest Frankenstein that's never been?
He's very universal horror. Also, is it weird to you guys how casually it's revealed in this movie that Snape is a Death Eater?
It's weird.
Yeah, that thing has the biggest deal in the world in the books.
Yeah, Harry doesn't get a moment to really reflect on that or even talk to his friends and be like, holy shit, that asshole that we all hate, Death Eater. Well, I mean, to get away from just talking shit about the mythology here, this is an interesting bit because mostly in the Harry Potter world, we get to see Harry exploring more fanciful bits of wizard life. And this flashback shows what is a pretty dark and twisted moment. It's the Nuremberg trial for wizards. People are being kept in spiky cages. There's the melodrama of one of the Inquisitors finding out his son is evil, but also well-dressed.
His son, who was just sauntering off to take a dump, apparently.
Right.
Well, I've seen enough.
There's no reason for him to do this. I don't know. I like the idea that this is the adult world of Harry Potter, and Harry Potter's getting a glimpse of it finally, and it's fucking dark and twisted, and the wizarding world is not a perfect place. They make a lot of fuck-ups.
And they cover it all up, and that's what's kind of interesting.
I think that's what's so brilliant about all the stuff in the later books with Dumbledore having feet of clay. Like, that's what makes that feel very appropriate. Where did you put your name in that goblet?
Also, yeah, it's implied that Dumbledore gave Harry this clue, like he wanted him to see this memory. And then he has this scene where he's frustrated because he can't put together the pieces. So it's like, well, why the fuck did you show Harry that memory? Here's this guy being arrested who will ultimately be revealed as the bad guy. I can't put it together, though. Who's the bad guy? If only I had this child look at this memory, maybe he could do the math. Which he will not. The mystery element is frustrating here because no one is actively working on a solution. The characters refuse to admit that they're in a mystery while a mystery plot is playing out, which makes it feel a little half-hearted at the end when it's just thrown at us like, I am not who I said I was. Surprise! It's all over. It works in the movie, though, because the point was never the mystery. They're much more focused on the spectacle of all the Triwizard stuff and the dramatic relationships between Harry and Ron and Hermione and their dance partners. So I think it plays out. It's just one of those weird deals. If you didn't have the book to reference, you'd probably be totally fine with it.
Ah, it's weird.
How often is
It's
Dumbledore
weird.
pulling his
Stop
memories
it.
out? So Dumbledore is pulling out his memory of Harry talking about a thing he had in a dream?
We weren't doing anything.
Nothing happening here. Here we go. Our full Rickman scene.
Finally.
I really liked the part where you didn't drown surrounded by the corpses of your friends. That was very inspiring.
JK made a comment the other day on Twitter about Snape really being a true gray character in her mind. I think a lot of fans go out of their way to characterize Snape as a secret good guy hero, when, nah, he's like, besides Death Eater stuff, just kind of a dick to his students.
Yeah.
He does good things, but he doesn't necessarily have great motivation. He's petty about stuff. He's kind of a shitty guy who does the right thing on occasion. He's definitely in no way all bad or all good, and fandom has taken him and elevated him to a weird level.
He's not evil or bad. He's just jaded as shit.
Well, I mean, he does whack students with books and treat Harry like goddamn shit just for the fact that he wanted to fuck his mom.
Yeah, but Harry deserves it. Not the students.
Harry deserves a hot mom?
A hot dead one.
Ooh.
Oh, hey, we're here already.
Yeah, the space between the second and third challenge feels as if it flies by, but the space between the first and second one, it seems like it goes forever.
Like, oh, hey, third act. You're here out of nowhere.
They have some big things happening, though, so it makes sense that they gotta just kind of like, fuck it, move it along.
Why the
Why are
Macarena?
they doing the Macarena?
Okay, so if you pay attention to fucking Goyle, he's having his own weird subplot of being in love with Crumb. Like, he has Crumb pasted across his forehead. He's cheering against his own school. During the dance, he's just on Crumb's back, jumping up and down, like trying to start a mosh pit. Crumb is all fucking about Goyle, and Goyle is all about Crumb, I can only assume. Those guys are bros. They probably are pen pals after this.
So can we just talk for a moment about the amazing passing of the boy torch this movie is between Daniel Radcliffe and Robert Pattinson? That thing no one realized was hilarious until like 6 years after the fact.
It's very strange that Robert Pattinson, at the time, he's got his Twilight career, he's got his Harry Potter career, but Harry Potter career is such a weird thing to say because he was one movie, barely has any lines, dies, so he gets more importance than anything else. But he's barely a character here, and yet a giant amount of his fans are from this movie.
Citrus a weird character because it's like he kind of has the Captain Stacy thing going on, like he's the person who dies right before the very big death that actually changes everything.
Yeah. Well, it's like Harry's parents are the main driver for him, and they're his Uncle Ben, I guess. And then you have Cedric, who also is a big deal for him, but he's just there. God damn it, Filch! When are you going to learn this canon shit?
So, my memory's a little rusty. At any point in any of these films, does Filch perform magic?
No, Filch is a squib.
Ah.
Also, Harry, you should be suspicious. Mad Eye's just fucking blatantly telling you how to win.
Harry's used to having everything handed to him.
Yeah. All right. One. I shouldn't say one more critique on mythology, but I already said it. I'm sure I'll find more. This is a little weird that the maze is such a truncated form of what the book gave us. In the books, there's like what, a goddamn sphinx in the middle here asking questions. It's a very different experience from what's on page. Also, apparently they have just decided to make this the world's biggest maze, so I don't know how anyone gets through this thing, or why there's cheering people outside. Like, they need an aerial view to get the best out of this.
I am confused what the hell they do during this entire sequence.
It's a pep rally. They all just drink butterbeer and hang out and cheer and scream. But I know we spend a large amount of these commentaries kind of sniping at the logic and plot contrivances of the films, but I don't want people to come away with the opinion that we think less of these movies for the stupid little things that we're bringing up here. Specifically, I say all this shit, but I love these movies. I watch them at least once a year in marathon style. If they're playing on ABC Family, I'm going to sit down and watch them.
Oh, yeah.
I joke and jest. Like, it doesn't distract me from the rest of the quality of the film when I see some of these things that don't necessarily add up in my mind. These are very fun movies, and I've seen them so many times where I can sit back and kind of laugh about certain pieces.
That's part of the fun of a franchise you love.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to ever become one of those people who spends all their time like making YouTube videos saying why thing X really sucked and you're wrong for liking it because there's this thing that doesn't add up in the background for 5 seconds.
Add up another one for the synonymer.
Yeah, I don't want to be making those kind of lists of supposed plot holes. We're doing these because we love the Harry Potter franchise through and through, and we tease it occasionally. We're like that mean older brother. We do love it. We just have to give it shit every once in a while.
I think it says a lot about learning about film when you can look at something like the Potter franchise, which is awesome and works so well, but still in a self-aware way point out the warts of it, the wonkiness. You go, okay, this is a thing that's in the movie and doesn't work, but why does the movie work on top of it?
Yeah, because it's a magic trick at that point.
Yeah, I think it's important to point that stuff out to learn about where the positivity of it comes from. Not learning how to fix the problem, but learning as to why does the problem not matter?
Yeah, I know.
Harry Potter is kind of an amazing thing anyways. What other thing can you think of in cinema where you have an 8-movie planned plot? This one 8-movie story. You don't get that. You get movies that are long series, but it's just franchise filmmaking. It's, oh, this one worked out, let's make another. This one worked out, let's make another. Or it's The Matrix, where you had one successful one, and then they decide arbitrarily to make it into a trilogy. Harry Potter isn't like that. It's kind of unique, where they wanted to do a long-running franchise for the better part of a decade. Probably more than that, if I'm looking at the years. And string it all together in a cohesive way. Keep the same acting crew. keep the same general world and just tell one long-form story. It's amazing. We don't have many options of this, and it's great that Harry Potter is able to pull it off and make it convincing.
Do you see so many franchises that struggle to maintain that across 2 or 3 movies?
Right. Or films that like fail right out of the gate. And the fact that they could commit so much to Harry Potter is fantastic. Having one of the best-selling books in the world makes that easier. But if you look at something like The Dark Tower, which I rip on all the time, that was originally, before it was just one film, supposed to be this giant sweeping thing where it was a movie, then a miniseries on TV you could watch in between the movies, and you would come back for a second and a third film and have giant miniseries in between parts 2 and 3, and you would end up with this giant experience to encapsulate the epic nature of the books. They were too scared to do that, so instead they crammed all the books into 90 minutes and made one some-power movie. Harry Potter never had to deal with that. I talk about Goblet of Fire being truncated, but, that's just the difficulty of turning one 900-page book into one 2-hour movie while still holding the core of it. There's thousands of other pages of book that were adapted pretty faithfully throughout the rest of the series. They didn't have to worry about throwing out everything, and it's so great we got that once at least.
It's a miracle that they committed to kind of seeing the future of what this franchise was, of just do the first book, then we'll do the second, then we'll do the third, then we'll do the fourth, and it'll all be one big thing. Like, there was no model or precedent for that. It's incredible it's incredible in the beginning they just made the book. Like, they didn't try to, okay, we should just try to, then we'll see if this is successful. They committed.
Just imagine if this were made in today's climate, why would they do this as a film series? It's too risky. But I could see them saying, what if we try to do this as an HBO show and take the Game of Thrones route where we turn each season into 10 episodes? Yeah. I don't know if that'd be better or not. It could definitely be interesting. If they were to ever remake Harry Potter, I'd be very excited to see them explore that format. But it's never going to be the same as going to a movie theater opening night and seeing your favorite characters all of a sudden on a giant screen, surrounded by, 100 other people who are absolutely in love with the material the same way as you.
What's funny, if you're going back to adapting the first one, if anything, if it was made today, or even back then, it was a miracle they didn't just combine Sorcerer's Stone and Chamber of Secrets into one movie.
Right.
Which you could easily do.
Yeah, or like go back and add all sorts of subplots and stuff to really fill out book 1 or something.
God, that's
baby
horrifying.
Baldy.
And I kind of want it.
Dead!
Can we talk about just...
Goodbye, you'll have more fun making good time.
Can we talk about just how Goblet of Fire has the most out-of-nowhere finale of any franchise movie?
You can tell
holy shit, we're in a horror movie all of a sudden.
Yeah. Well, it connects with that opening so well. Voldemort's operating in a totally different world, and Harry just got dragged into it with the port key. God damn it. You're telling me, though, if someone made this into an atmospheric Hammer-type horror film, you wouldn't want to watch this? Goddamn wizards burning bones with snakes and killing caretakers inside graveyards.
This is pretty much a Hammer movie.
I love it.
Where's our evil wizard slasher movie?
Like, if you got rid of all the fucking wizard bullshit in the middle, holy cow, you could have one hell of a great spooky little burner.
A spooky little burner.
Cody's been drinking.
Unfortunately, I'm down to my last sip of my unicorn blood. It has given me somewhat immortality. It's not full immortality, but, if I fall off a bridge, I'll probably be okay.
But you'll have to live the rest of your days knowing that you have taken something precious from this earth, Cody.
Look.
That's a super wormtail run away.
Look. Venison is delicious, so I imagine unicorns are probably really tasty. So I'm not that concerned with the idea of eating unicorn.
I'd imagine. Also, I love how his clothes are part of this.
Look, we
nobody
already
needs to see that.
exactly.
Ugh.
Ew.
Now look at this shot and think to yourself,
Maybe it's Maybelline.
we almost didn't get Voldemort in makeup.
It would have been such a shame if this was all like CGI. It works so much better with a human being underneath that weird lizard makeup and then just, green screening out his nose.
Yeah, and just all of Fiennes' performance.
Oh, he sells it so hard. that Fiend's way of just saying every line as if he's savoring a dessert.
Just the
Fine.
finest villain performance of all time.
Yeah, Fiennes as Voldemort is such an underrated and unexpected performance. It's like he looked at every other famous villain and said, "No, I'll do the opposite of that." Nothing that Voldemort does is something another character like this would do.
We hear so often now when an actor's talking about their portrayal of a bad guy, they want to give a more nuanced, balanced position like, oh, my character doesn't think he's the bad guy. He thinks he's his own hero and he's just doing things in his own way. Yeah, normally that's very nice. I like that variety. I like that kind of grounding. But every once in a while, you just want to see a guy be evil space Hitler. Wizard Hitler.
Space Wizard.
I got thinking about Darth Vader. Considering Voldemort's backup crew is essentially the KKK in black, they're not going for subtlety here. So it makes sense that Voldemort is just pure evil and doesn't try and play nice in any way.
That is a man whose arch nemesis is a baby.
Which makes sense. The baby's pure innocence, and this guy's pure evil.
And
It's your night and day.
Yeah, and look at Fiennes' energy that he puts into this role. It has so many different modes he switches in and out of. It makes it terrifying.
Oh, no one's surprised at all. Jason Isaac's a really bad guy.
After Voldemort murdered Crabbe and Goyle's fathers.
Were they murdered? I thought he just knocked him out.
It's never clear.
Oh, have I been interpreting this wrong? Is Voldemort more evil than I thought?
It's like
Fiennes suddenly have sympathy for Goyle.
Fiennes goes in and out of kind of slow, very subtle. Like, he doesn't really talk in a whisper or anything, but very measured, and then flies around like he's playing it super over the top. And it's incredible. And then he kind of goes into this like between spaces, and then he gets kind of snake-like, and never gets kind of more into like mastermind Voldemort stuff. And then you get
touch
shit
of
like
him
that.
just moving, just using his foot to like push a guy's face around. Those
He's so
nasty
physical.
toenails.
Like, look at just how he's like moving his head around and shit.
That long flowing cape. Great bit of costume design.
Oh, it's fucking brilliant.
And
Really
this,
a piece of
I
mineralization.
can touch you when he gets to it. Like the strain he puts, like the hesitation, like he's afraid if he touches Harry Potter, he's going to start on fire. Small critique. God damn it, I really hate Wormtail's Terminator 2 metal hand.
It's really weird.
It's bad. It's like they use up all the money on making a fucking really good Nagini, so they're like, your hand will just be bad. Just get out of focus.
That was Voldemort's revenge. He gave him a bad hand.
Look at this.
The way he flays that hand out before the slow tap.
Thanks to Fiennes' performance, you have never seen a villain like Voldemort before or since.
Where's his movie? That's what I want to know.
I don't like the idea that we just seen Voldemort's O face. Yeah, yeah.
Nagini.
This fascinates me so much.
Again, going back to those flowing robes, it's such a great choice for the way Fiennes plays this, because he's always kind of jerking around and the robes are just fluttering behind him. It works so well.
Oh yeah, you know Fiennes like was wearing that thing in front of a mirror and just moving and seeing what it did.
You just yell at him like, no skin tight things. I want flowy fabric.
And I know I keep saying this, but I cannot think of another performance to compare this to. It is so wholly unique.
Oh God, he's evil. He's probably going to be in a Hannibal movie at some point. Harry, get out of there. I could have done it any time during the school year, but now it's fine too.
And fuck, we should bring it up the fact that Ralph Fiennes is the villain in a big blockbuster franchise.
Fines.
That's kind of out of fucking nowhere if you go back in time.
Mister, for my pleasure.
Just like, hey, let's go to Schindler's List and take a Nazi and be like, what if you were now a magic Nazi in a movie franchise essentially for children, but play more over the top and evil? No charisma. All right, so this is one of the problems with wizard battles. You'll see in just a second here when Harry does his Expelliarmus, how awkwardly he has to stand holding that fire hose of a wand. It's hard, apparently, to make people holding sticks look cinematic.
It's very anime.
Harry looks so awkward. Ray Fiennes, I mean, he's not doing better either. There's just not a lot of focus on him. That's why I think there's such a close-up of the fucking fireworks happening between them.
Oh, yeah. Fiennes at least trying to pose.
Has the hand motion. Harry's just holding on for dear life, which makes sense. But the way he's got this awkward stance, like, oh, no, magic!
Oh, watching any behind-the-scenes stuff of this crap is fucking hilarious.
It would be so hard. Imagine you're green screening all this. There's no magic coming out of your wand. You're holding a fucking stick, and you have to just pretend you just see the ghosts around you.
We're just in the end of the Phantom all of a sudden. So I love how the ending of this movie essentially amounts to docking.
I'm trying real hard. I'm Harry Potter. Also, Expelliarmus, Harry, what were you doing? You know the killing curse. You gotta whip that bad boy out.
Okay, Harry, we're ghost. Don't address it.
We got pulled out of heaven for this. Or maybe hell.
Kiefer Sutherland in an ice cream man suit comes up. You're doing great, Harry!
So James Potter was in hell, right?
Maybe.
And
get
bully
these
that
ghosts
poor
off
snake
me.
boy.
We should have foreseen this.
No, I won't be in the next movie. Hey, he's dead.
Our pep rally's been ruined.
This is such a tonal fucking whiplash. I kind of love it.
I'm in a different movie.
I love the people who still clap. Despite being in the front row.
I don't know why they're clapping like two people came back at the same time. This has got to fuck up all the bets. Unless someone wagered on like the rare chance of Hogwarts is winning it all.
I'm always startled by how realistically Harry's PTSD from all this shit is portrayed.
Yeah.
Right? This is like a legit disturbing reaction to it. Harry lost a friend, and they really want you to feel that. We talked about this, I think, in Chamber of Secrets, how for children, a little funny because, you know, the kids who started the series have been growing up and maturing with the series. But kids don't need as much emotion to get the emotion. They really feel it much harder, I think, than adults. So a kid going into this would just be fucking steamrolled, I'd imagine.
I mean, look
The
at this
movie's not
scene.
even
There
over.
was a fucking dragon like 40 minutes ago.
And mer people. It was all fun and games. And then a surprisingly touching moody performance, which was all a lie.
Yeah, we're now at the point in this franchise where somebody dies every fucking movie.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I never really thought about that.
It makes a lot of sense that Harry Potter has a very big place among like people who suffer from PTSD, because when you look at the series as a whole, that's really what it's about. Harry's a character who overcomes trauma again and again and again and again. He's kind of unique as far as that goes.
And all he wants to do is play football and have a good time and be a real boy.
God, now that I think about it, it's essentially Harry Potter and Wolverine. And whatever you do, don't look at my screaming box of mystery.
Even though you're sitting on it.
As a secret, Harry.
Why did he keep... Oh, I suppose. I understand now. He had to keep Moody alive so he could keep pulling hair off him for the polyjuice. You say, why not just murder him right there? But I guess you need the corpse for a full year. God damn it, he's doing the mummy thing where he just didn't prepare his formula ahead of time. It's a mistake. Come on, bad guys, what are you doing?
God, anyone who has to drink any kind of a potion to keep evil at bay always forgets it so easily.
Right. Especially with polyjuice, like apparently that's only good for a couple of hours. That motherfucker should have been brewing up just batches of that constantly. This is like the third time you let slip that you know too much information, Mr. Moody.
Moody.
Don't we all have mood eyes?
Are we getting evil, Gleason?
Could you imagine all of this if Mad Eye wasn't Crouch? The rest of the school year would be very awkward.
All right.
Every time I watch this reveal, I'm reminded of the fact that Mad Eye isn't really in these movies at all.
Yeah, we see a brief snatch of him in Deathly Hallows, and that's about it.
That's what happens when you cut the Order of the Phoenix out of the book called The Order of the Phoenix.
Weird choice, right? I guess he's in that a little bit too, but since I haven't rewatched that yet for notes, I can't remember how much.
I am the architect of all your suffering.
God damn. Has Gleason ever been in a Bond movie? It feels like he should be.
I don't think so.
Could you imagine him against Bond?
God.
Oh, he's like Odd Job.
I think he could be the henchman and the main villain together.
Gleason has that weird old British man thing that people like fucking Winstone have, where he's like 70, but he looks like he can throw you across the fucking room.
Dude, if Gleason broke into my house and said he was going to kill me, I'd be like, can I have a moment to write my will, sir?
And he's British, so we'd have to let you.
I wouldn't doubt that he would just murder me. It's going to be horrible. I can't beat him. It's just hoping he has the decency to let me live long enough to write out my will and testament.
He needs to either battle Bond or Sherlock Holmes.
But the problem is they can't guess him. He'd win.
Also, I love Action Snape there with his potion.
And his dramatic box reveal spell.
My God. Also, pitch for Gleason. He plays a Moriarty in a Sherlock Holmes movie, but Moriarty's the good guy.
I could see that.
Yeah,
just do that Nottingham script, that Robin Hood script, but it's for Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah. I mean, we were pretty lucky to have Harris play Moriarty in Sherlock Holmes' Game of Shadows, but boy, could you imagine if they made that same Moody? God damn it. Got Moody in my mind. Not that much. There's only 6 ounces of rum. Could just imagine if you got that movie and it was Gleason doing the Moriarty role. Like, that'd be pretty cool, too.
It'd be so fucking terrifying.
Right?
Imagine fucking Gleason and Downey having mental chess.
You think you're the only one who can play this game, do you, boy? I'm amazed there's no big scene of Hagrid and Moody in any of these movies. Could you imagine Brendan Gleeson and the fat guy from Nuns on the Run just being that type of dude at each other?
Just being huge.
Huge, round troll men. And then Ray Winstone comes out dressed as the Juggernaut. And
Jonesy!
I'm very glad David Tennant, after his Doctor Who run, was able to still get roles. Because I feel like after Who, it kind of throws a wrench in your career. Matt Smith has never quite recovered from it, although he's tried. Tennant has found steady solid footing. Yeah, that's well, he's got to be an Imperial officer who dies after like 10 minutes.
Probably.
I'm glad that Tennant's having a second life as a villain actor.
Yeah.
He's so good at it. The
That's
Purple
really
Man,
specialty.
god damn.
It was weird. Everyone, like, he started to do really well and take off post-Who with, like, Fright Night, but it never led to anything. So it's like he petered out for no reason.
It's a shame. He's a very fun, charismatic actor. I think with the right role, like one that's just going to get him in front of the most eyes, he would take off. But most of the time, he unfortunately is in smaller stuff like BBC productions that don't really make it to stateside, or stuff like Fright Night that just doesn't catch on with audiences, which is a goddamn shame. I love that movie.
Oh yeah, totally. We'll be covering that at some point in the future. It's amazing.
Oh yeah. Thankfully, Jessica Jones kind of knocked him back into like award territory and whatnot. So people remember, right, David Tennant is fucking incredible.
Well, it gave him so much time to explore the character, too. That's one of the best parts about any of the Marvel TV shows. They have the time to get into the side characters and flesh them out that you don't get in a movie. But, boy, Tennant, I mean, Jesus, the guy's got such a range. He can make you love him. As the Doctor, he was just such a great guy. Not perfect in any way, but you loved him as the Doctor. And as a villain, he can make your skin crawl. He knows both ends of the spectrum. Oh, right. Also, Cedric died.
This is really one of the best acted scenes that Gambon delivers in his tenure as Dumbledore.
Yeah.
And the best part about it is the focus isn't on Dumbledore at all. All of these shots were on reaction shots from the crowd, Harry looking angry, the shot of the rising camera to the rafters. You barely see Gambon actually doing the speech. Very kind of inventive, clever filmmaking to get away from something that could be just boring. Harry, you didn't put your name in that goblet.
I'm going to be honest, up until this point, thought it was you.
Real iffy on that, Harry. My bad. My bad. Have some more of this poisonous licorice monster.
I love how cash Dumbledore tries to be. It's like he's trying to pick Harry up.
He's his fun older brother. Remember that time I set fire to this place? I bet you done it, buddy. Hey. So about Wizard Hitler.
And don't make me drink that awful liquid again, Harry.
Oof.
He does look like he wants to rap with Harry about protection.
Time for wizard condoms. There has to be a spell for that, right? Like, you don't have to put a condom on in the wizard world. You just cast a protective charm around your dick.
No, wizards all raw dog. You've seen the Weasleys.
That's because they're probably like wizard Catholics.
Yeah, motherfucker Weasleys, you have no money. Stop procreating.
We can't help it.
We don't need
Funds
more
are basically unlimited in the wizard world. We're poor, but that doesn't mean much. We could literally make food out of thin air.
These are the children we just didn't sell.
Why do I imagine it's just like that scene from The Meaning of Life? Like Arthur's just walking home, sees the stork drop off another one. Oh, bloody hell.
We almost ate a Bill.
I love his cane.
She didn't say anything. She said bye.
Yeah, they did not write to each other at all, did they?
Probably not. I think in the books they mentioned she might have. It's been a long time since I've read the books. I think in the books they say that she might have written back to him once or twice.
I believe she and Crumb remain friends.
Yeah, I bet they did.
Hey, look,
Big
look,
dick
look,
energy.
look.
Have I dated us?
I mean, not more than we've already done. But if you have the opportunity for a big, muscular Russian guy to be your buddy, you take that. You never know when you need them in a fight. Or someone to help you get vodka at 4 a.m.
Bi girl characters we never got to know.
Goodbye. Have fun.
I'm so sad the ending of this movie does not have Crumb discovering that Karkaroff has fled into the night with the Death Eaters for him to say with disdain, Karkaroff!
Lightning. It's weirded me out that this ending's very joyous. Because we go from the funeral and the eulogy to all the characters hugging and being like, "Woo, this is a fun school year." And then we get right back down for Hermione being like, "Everything's bad now and different." Just a second ago, we saw Ron like jumping around and smiling with Harry.
They try really hard to nail a tone that's really fucking difficult to nail, which is bittersweet.
Yeah.
And it's hard to nail down. I think they do a pretty good job of trying to get there.
They got to take advantage of these while they can, because the films take a decidedly dark turn after this point. It really is the tipping point. It's been hinted at in the third one. The death of Cedric really cements it. And from this point on, they're dealing with a very dark issue. And oh my god, all those people just drowned. Oh my god, get those wizards out of there.
They're Russian, it doesn't matter.
They're all Sharkmen now in a better place. Shark heaven.
Awesome.
I don't even want to talk over the credits now. I just want that to end.
That was beautiful, yes.
Awesome. As all
it
the
was
Russians
the timing too,
like
just as it faded out.
Well, these credits are bullshit now. I don't even have an after credits joke to throw in.
These credits are bullshit now.
Yeah, we're gonna wait and see if these scraps of paper are fucking in the background.
It's not the same. Clearly, part 3 had the best credits.
By and large.
These are just burning scraps of paper with way too happy of music for what we just saw.
Yeah, I've always found the end credits of this movie highly inappropriate.
Cedric Diggory is dead.
Yeah, the movie does not give a shit about that guy.
I knew Twilight was coming.
Yeah, why aren't the credits being spelled out in fire embers? Well, Oldman eats them.
Ooh. Nom, 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 nom. This sustains me. I'm fire now.
I'm like Pac-Man.
Gobble, gobble, gobble. So we only touched briefly on Pattinson's acting career, and this movie isn't a fair example of what he can do because he has like 3 lines. But man, what a weird twist that guy turns out to be really goddamn good.
I know.
Like, if you watch any of his other productions, he's just wonderful at all the other stuff he's done that's not this gigantic franchise machine material.
That's why I always say, never make fun of any actor until you've seen them outside of the thing you make fun of.
It's a fair statement.
It's such a shame he's forever tied to Twilight, because he's so good. Even in this, like, he makes such an impression and is so charismatic by doing literally nothing.
He's being chiseled out of marble.
He's making a good impression for himself in other roles where he's just decided to only go after things that make him look super skeezy and probably kind of slimy. Like, you wouldn't want to touch him in any of the other movies he's been in. Like, he'd probably make you feel sticky.
He's doing the opposite of Ted Levine.
Anyways, folks, The Lost City of Z. Fun stuff. Also, Good Time is actually a very good time. I'm sure that joke has been made 1,000 times in the past by better people than me, but it's true. It's a good movie.
You're more than happy to ride their coattails.
Oh, exactly. That's what Box Office Pulp's all about. Oh, God, we're the fire now!
Ah.
But anyway.
Is that you trying to leave the commentary before the end credits?
I don't know if we need to stay for the entire credits of this one.
I don't have any notes on the credits, so I don't have anything educational to add on top of this. Although there is a man named Nick Dudman, and that's fun.
That's delightful.
I bet that guy got picked on a lot as a kid. It's an unfortunate last name, but fun.
And now that the credits are rolling, I would like to remind you listeners at home, I assume you're listening at home. Maybe not. Maybe you're listening from a boat or a plane, or you're sleeping in a park because your significant other tossed you out, and all you have is box office pulp to keep you company while you make sweet, sweet love to, I don't know, a turtle you found. I don't know who you are on a personal level, and we don't need to go into that.
To interrupt, there's a man credited as Rubber Richie as one of the Death Eaters.
And we thought these credits wouldn't have fun.
Yeah, let's return back to your oddly specific of someone who is using box office pulp as like a fucking newspaper blanket.
Yes, I don't know. You know what? I was taking a journey there for a second. I was being reminded of box office pulp guy, who is probably sleeping near you in a separate tent.
He may beat you.
It's a Power Rangers tent he stole. And he will beat you and probably take your teeth. My original point is,
right.
My specifics of this tale aside, if you've liked this so far, please remember to rate and subscribe. Rate or subscribe to us on iTunes or on
now
Stitcher.
Who's drunk on wizard rum?
Whatever your
you are, Cody.
Whatever
it's
your
polyjuice potion. Leave me alone.
Whatever your preferred podcast listening method is. You can also follow us on Twitter at Box Office Pulp or on Facebook at facebook.com/boxofficepulppodcast. And the website is, as always, boxofficepulp.blogspot.com. Please say hello. Yell at us for pointing out logic lapse in Harry Potter, if you please.
It's mostly going to be people responding to us on Twitter now, like, you missed 90 of the most obvious plot holes, you dinguses.
Yeah, here's a Screen Rant article that points it out so much smarter than you.
I'm glad Screen Rant already hates us, so we don't have to worry about offending them.
Fuck Screen Rant.
Oh, well. Anyways, folks, I know the credits are still rolling. You're welcome to keep watching, but I have nothing to say about Maggie Walsh. I'm sure she does a wonderful job in her other films, but I don't know anything about her career.
Why'd you point out her?
Because she was on the top of the screen at the time. Right now, if I would make the same comment about wig maker Alex Roos.
No, now we're just doing the credits.
Yeah, I'm not doing this. Everyone go home. This has been Box Office Pulp. Thank you for joining us. Get the hell out of here.
That's my boy!
You get more out of life when you go out to a movie. Please remember to replace the speaker on the post when you leave the theater.
Why do we get the very sad, dramatic credit music at the back half of the credits when everyone's already left? They got to swap these.
Yeah, I feel like someone mixed this incorrectly.
This is, why you guys have your editing projects. This is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to correct the music in the credits of Harry Potter 4.
Oh, can you add a rap song about Goblet of Fire?
Oh, could you imagine an alternate universe where Harry Potter was made in like the 80s and they did all of that gimmicky shit?
Oh my god, someone rapping about Cedric's murder would be
now, this is a story about the boy who lived. And I can't rhyme, so that's where the song ends. But just, you have the idea.
Yeah, could you imagine Goblet of Fire exactly as it is now, but Big Trouble in Little China plays over the credits?
I'm imagining if they made Harry Potter in any other time period before like the 2000s, just imagine the costuming. Instead of wearing normal clothes or like tracksuits or anything, it'd be something like fucking vanilla ice clothing. Just giant poofy parachute pants for no reason.
Vanilla ice clothing.
He had his own brand, man.
He was Amish once.
I'm not sure why we're still watching this as we told everyone to leave. Is this like the world's longest after credits scene? Is this a meta joke about us talking about credits? while telling people not to watch credits.
I really don't know why I let this keep playing. Maybe
It's going
Thanos
to keep
shows up at the end.
going. They still play like a Weird Sisters song too, I think, in here somewhere. This goes for like another 5 minutes at least, right?
Jesus, it does.
Oh man, I fucking nailed that. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I mean, they should have played "This Is the Night" over all the credits. Oh my God, there were 3 Weird Sister songs. I only remember 2.
Huh.
Those guys should have just committed and produced a whole album. They could have released it along with like all of the weird little Harry Potter books that weren't part of the series technically, but got treated like they should have been.
Oh, wait, nope. I found a special credit. No dragons were harmed in the making of this movie.
Hey,
Which was a lie.
True.
I'm just saying, guys. Just imagine, like they did the Tales of Beetle the Bard. What if they had a whole album of the Weird Sisters? I'd probably buy it.
On vinyl?
Oh, well, if offered, yeah. I recently resubscribed to Vinyl Me Please, so I'm back in the fold, baby.
No, this heart is where you live, Cody. You're this man.
I'm a vinyl man.
This is Box Office Pulp Guy, and this has been a Pulp Podcast production. Now please, 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 put a gun in my mouth and pull the trigger and say goodnight.
And now, on with the show.
There are a lot of issues that plague the comic book community at large that are really never kind of addressed. I think what the three of us really wanted to do was do a show where we explore all of that.
And by the very hand of Odin himself, we now have the seed of this podcast.
Marvel's Odin.
Does DC have an Odin? They must.
I don't think so. Let's go with, like, Image Odin.
Look, DC has Hercules, so he has to have something.
Who doesn't have Hercules? Spawn?
He has Angela, who's, like, Lady Hercules.
Yeah, she is kind of Hercules-like. Can we still legally say Spawn has Angela? Have I just gotten us in trouble?
Well, now that she's Asgardian, I think it's fair play, so...
Hey, she's not technically Asgardian.
Yeah, but she's Asgard's assassin.
And she has, like, a weird new haircut. Have you seen Angela's new redesign?
Look, we can get all into the pathos of Angela on another episode.
That was just a little taste of graphic novelism.